What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. Well, guys, it's that time again. It is the end of the month, so it's time to start putting out content for the month of July. So this is going to be July 2022 horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs, brought to you by Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. Super excited to be back. I have a lot to say about the month of July. In many ways, this is when the energy really starts to kind of kick up. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western and evolutionary astrologer with an emphasis on factoring in clairvoyant visions, the Sabian symbols, and also tarot into my reading. So it's a little bit of a triple threat. We are going to first kind of touch on some of the transits that catch my eye for the month. They are not all of them. If you want all of them, then stay tuned. On Sunday, we're going to do the astro weather for the week ahead, and I'm going to talk to you about all of the important transits and giving you more a vibe of how this is going to be affecting us generally. So if you're looking for more general kind of planning the month, look for that video to be coming out soon. This is just more how it's going to be affecting the 12 signs. Well, we've got a lot going on. I mean, we've got planets that are majorly changing signs. We've also got just like this buildup of energy really until the end of the month when we see the North Node and Uranus conjunct, which will be a very eventful summer event. I don't know what it's going to be. Actually, I've talked about it a lot on my channel. And put out some content, but to some extent we can't totally predict some of the events that are coming. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. So something new that I'm just going to start including into my horoscopes, just so everybody is aware of new offerings and new content that I'm putting out. If you would like to learn with me, if you want to study astrology or tarot, Astro 101 is now available on my website. It is a packaged course that was pre-recorded from a live course that I did earlier this year. It is available for you to study at your own pace. It's 8 separate lessons with over 18 hours of instruction. So if you are wanting to learn astrology the way that I practice, take a look at my website. We've also got Tarot 101 that's coming up soon. That is going to be showing up here shortly. We're going to be starting that course around the 17th of July. It is going to consist of 5 Saturday classes that are several hours long, and I'm going to be teaching beginners intuitive tarot. So if you'd like to sign up for that, that is available as well. Now, I've got webinars that I'm bringing back. I haven't done webinars in a while, not since my days with Astrology. But if you're interested in joining my webinar event, I'm going to be teaching a webinar on the Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus transit. This is going to be held live on July 10th, 2022 at 10 o'clock p.m. That's Pacific time, so it's going to be 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. You can join me live for the full lecture and demonstration with Q&A after. There will be a playback link provided, so if you cannot join live and you would like to still attend the event and watch it at your leisure, you're more than welcome to do so. I will be providing so much information about historical events. When the last several times we saw North Node conjunct Uranus, I'm also going to be making predictions for financial, global, health, you name it, all kinds of stuff, and talking to you guys about how to get prepared for this conjunction. I'll also be providing all the most important dates where this conjunction will be reactivated over the next several months and really into the next several years, so we can see what's truly going to unfold from this historic astrological event. It's likely to project all of us into the future. Now, I'm offering $10 off for anybody who would like to sign up for the webinar prior to the 10th. So it's $25 for a digital ticket. That will get you in. You get the link, and you're also going to get PDF information with all of the predictions for the 12 signs, how to prepare. I'm going to be talking about astrology. I'm going to be talking about gemstones, working with crystals, working with herbs, and how to get into alignment so we can make the most of this cosmic upgrade. Let's call it that. If you'd like to book with me, I am happy to see you as a new client. I'm always keeping my books open. I'm generally booked out anywhere from about 6 to 12 weeks at a time. Right now I'm booking in the month of August and September. But if you'd like to book a session with me, I'm available for private consultations. If you'd like to get a solar return reading, a birthday reading, if you're wanting to plan an event like a wedding or a relocation or a book launch, or if you want to know more about your natal chart, I'm happy to see you. Take a look at my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com, where you can get all of the information on my readings and my offerings. And as always, thank you to everyone who supports the channel, whether you are a new subscriber, whether you are a member, liking, commenting, sharing. Sharing is caring, and getting this content out there, whether you posted it on a social media or if you want to share it in one of your local groups online. You make it possible for this channel to keep growing. We have seen nothing but growth over this last year, and it's because of people like you who participate in watching my videos and leave me comments and join memberships or give donations. I always have my memberships available, so you can take a look at the different levels and what you get with that. And yeah, if you'd like to make a donation, I will always graciously accept that, because it makes it possible for me to put more time aside to be able to create this content. So thank you guys. So July 2022 horoscopes, I want you guys to listen for your rising sun and moon signs. So after I get into the transits that catch my eye, I'm then going to break those dates down for each and every one of the 12 signs. Now, if you want to listen to your progress chart, you can do that. If you want to listen to your moon, you can do that. You're going to get the most out of my readings by listening for your ascendant sign, and then you can listen for your sun and your moon, but it's choose your own adventure. And as always, I am a tropical Western astrologer, so this is not Vedic, this is tropical Western astrology. So transits that catch my eye this month, these are just the ones that I want to touch on the most with you guys. Like I said, the rest are going to kind of filter into my weeklies, my weekly astro weather. And I like to do that so we can kind of break it down in real time as these transits are actually taking place. But I want to remind you, when July 1st hits, okay, so you're already feeling this right now if you're watching this on the 30th, when this transit hits, when this date hits, we are in the Mars and Aries square Pluto in Capricorn. So you're really feeling it from the end of June through the beginning of July. I did not include it in this because I already did a video on that, but I want to preface it by saying this is in the skies. It is the beginning of July, but we're feeling it at the end of June. So if you're looking for insight on that transit, what that may materialize and bring, then check the other videos that I have on my channel. I do predictions for each of the 12 signs, and I talk about what that might bring globally. So the month kicks off for me with July 4th, and this will be when Mercury enters into the sign of Cancer. So Mercury is the messenger. It's about communication, information, short distance travel. And when Mercury moves into the cardinal sign of Cancer, it's more emotional, right? It's been very chatty when it's been in Gemini. We've seen lots of information, lots of useful information that's come after the Mercury retrograde that we had actually in Gemini. It dropped back into Taurus, if you guys remember, and then came back into Gemini and made some awesome trines and aspects to Saturn. So really, I feel like a lot of, the end of July, the end of June was stabilizing, planning, getting serious. So once Mercury moves into Cancer, it's going to be more how we're communicating from our heart space. We're going to be talking a lot about our home, our security, our family. There can be a sense of needing to reorganize or needing to communicate within the home better. Now we're coming off of the new moon in Cancer right now, so that's definitely going to be leading up until mid-month when we have the full moon in Capricorn. So there's going to be a lot of Cancerian themes. Now you want to take a look at where Cancer is in your natal chart, that area where maybe where you're reorganizing or you're strategizing, maybe you're planning. But Mercury in Cancer is more about also reflecting and thinking about the past. We might be a little bit more reminiscent of the past and be kind of thinking a lot about it and thinking about the good times. That's just something naturally that kind of comes up whenever we see Mercury go through Cancer. Then on July 5th, Mars will enter into Taurus. So this is interesting because Mars and Mercury are in very fertile signs, right? So Cancer is a feminine sign. It's about wombs, motherhood. It can sometimes be dealing with the themes of home, nurturing, and like I said, mother figures. And then Mars entering into Taurus, right? So we're going to be seeing that shift. They're going to be sextiling each other. So when we have Mercury, which wants to communicate, share, and Mars, which wants to move, there is going to be more taking action revolving around what we feel like we need to do for security. The first 2 weeks of July is very emotional. We're going to see a lot of placements that are going to come into some really challenging oppositions with Pluto, which will bring about this theme of like, are we still afraid of certain situations in our life? And whenever we're dealing with the axis of Cancer and Capricorn, it's always about gender identity. It deals with gender roles, anything in relation to our home obligations and our emotions versus our occupation and our responsibility out in the world. So we can feel these themes more. Capricorn is also government. So as we see all these placements come into Cancer and oppose Pluto and Capricorn, we're going to feel this really intense emotional release that might come about as a result of feeling the opposition is like being opposed, being challenged, being threatened. So it's going to play out, and I'll talk about this in my monthly video, but it can be triggering some things that bring fear. So what I like is that even though Mars is not entirely thrilled being in Taurus, usually when Mars, is in Aries, we've seen things move very quickly. We've seen the momentum pick up. And when Mars gets into Taurus, it slows down, it gets rigid. It has like a slow and steady build though, right? What I like about Mars in Taurus is that it's like a train. Once it really kind of gets into motion and it starts building, then it's super strong and there's no stopping it. And we know that on the tracks of this Mars transit, inevitably at the end of the month, it will come into a conjunction both with the North Node and Uranus. Kind of teeters into the beginning of August, but this brings some almost like some bulldozing opportunities in our lives. So when Mars and Uranus come together, it is going to be explosive, but explosive in a number of different ways, right? So Mars in Taurus wants to work on the garden, it wants to make money, it wants to focus on being able to handle the accounting, to take action revolving around food, resources, security. So it's interesting that it's going to be in harmony with Mercury. There's a lot of like planning. So I could see a lot of people planning things in regards to how do we pay for this? How do we pay for food? Where are we moving? What is the plan? Whether that's family planning or just domestic stuff in general, it's going to be quite active. Now, Mars, because it's moving into the sign of Taurus, is technically going to be in its fall. So that basically means it doesn't function as well. That doesn't mean it's negative or bad. It's just saying that it is challenged because you have a Mars-type planet that is going to be in a Venus-type house. So Mars and Taurus can get distracted. It can stop and smell the roses. It can get too comfortable. It can get stubborn. It could need rest. And there can be a sense of also getting too focused on one area. So as Mars, at the end of the month and the beginning of August, comes into conjunction with Uranus in the North Node, imagine taking like TNT and putting it at the base of a mountain and blowing it up. So if there has been a sense of too much dragging out, things taking too long, things taking too slow, people getting stuck and too comfortable, that is going to totally push us out of our comfort zone come the beginning of August one way or another. And Mars will also make squares to Saturn. So we're definitely going to see a return of a lot of the fixed squares. I've been saying all year on my channel, once we get to the better part of July, going into August, there's no turning back. We're going to see grand fixed squares from planets in Leo to the nodes of the moon and oppositions to Saturn. So really enjoy, I would say, the first 2-3 weeks of the month. It's definitely a little bit easier before we start getting into Leo season. On the 16th, we're going to see a Sun-Mercury cazimi in the sign of Cancer. Now, the Sun-Mercury cazimi is when the planet Mercury is in the heart of the Sun. It's going to be a little bit more than a degree in front of the Sun. This represents Mercury bringing a message forth to the Sun, and that conjunction, although typically when we see the Sun-Mercury conjunction or any planet within 10 degrees of the Sun, it kind of burns up over the sun's rays. It can become very erratic. When it's in this particular aspect, where it's a little less than a degree, it's considered very fortunate, and that there is some kind of cosmic message that is being relayed to us. So we have a few of these every year. It's one of my favorite kind of like little magical transits that we have. Maybe it's because I was born with one, and I feel like I'm constantly receiving these little downloads from the universe and relaying it to you guys on the internet. But when that cazimi happens, I think it's interesting because Gemini is technically 12 signs to the Sun at that situation, in that point, right? So Gemini is 12 signs away from Cancer. So it's kind of cool that Mercury is coming into this conjunction with the Sun saying, you know, do you have a hunch? Is there something that you're not seeing clearly? You know, did you have a dream? Do you have like a real strong intuitive feeling? Something like that can happen. And that's already the case when we have Mercury and the Sun in Cancer, because Cancer is a sign that does deal with the intuition, and it does deal with the inner world and the roots in the past, and it can also deal with a really, really, really strong emotional kind of core, and it can be doing like ancestral work. So I would say Sun cazimi days can be days where there's just like this aha moment, we have an epiphany, or a cosmic message, you know, shows up in our email box. We have a really insightful conversation, something that's highlighting like, oh, this is what I've been thinking about, like, but now how does it make me feel? So look for that cosmic goodie popping up on the 16th. On the 17th of July, we're going to see Venus enter into the sign of Cancer. You guys seeing the theme here? It's just like a water party. So Venus enters Cancer, which is really warm and fuzzy and nurturing and protective. It's like a warm hug or a home-cooked meal, warm cookies, a safe place on the couch that you can like hang out and cuddle with your dog. So Venus in Cancer, I think, is kind of cool, being that all of these placements are still in positive aspect to Mars. So Mars is kind of leading the way for Cancer to go, you know, what are your goals? What are we working towards? And it's really important this month that we're just nurturing those goals. We're nurturing the direction that we're going in. We know that it takes a little bit of slow and steady to kind of like win the race. What I love about Taurus and Cancer together is that Taurus provides the foundation, the soil, the nutrients. It builds the house, it provides the food, it gives the money, everything that's needed to be able to actually facilitate having a home. Cancer. So there's something about these two working together, and that element of like Venus type archetypes and moon type archetypes, where we're going to see just like a lot more emphasis on stability and security and things that might be a little bit more traditional. We might see people who are focusing just kind of getting back to basics more this month with some of these transits. Now, obviously, if you are a Venus-based sign, you're going to feel this very strongly. The same way, if you are a Mars-based sign, you're going to feel the Mars ingress into Taurus very strongly. I'll be talking about that when I get to the 12 signs. It is important for us to be paying attention also to where Mars and Venus are going, because Mars rules the South Node in Scorpio transit currently, where we're releasing and letting go. So every time Mars changes signs or makes aspects, there is this emphasis of a clearing or a releasing, or the past coming back up in some way. And then whenever we see Venus change signs or make aspects, there is this emphasis on the North Node. And so Venus is coming into a very strong aspect, like it's coming into some sextiles with the North Node. It's going to be in sextile to Mars. It's going to be in a sextile also to Uranus when we see the Mars-Uranus conjunction. So Venus is really focusing on creating that safe, secure home base to be able to ensure that we can continue to move forward. On the 18th, we're going to see Mercury in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto in Capricorn. And this is going to represent some very intense exchanges, an intense exchange of ideas, words, something threatening possibly about Cancer-related situations. So I would say watch for this time to be a time where there can be some stuff going on in regards to like housing markets, housing costs, anything in regards to news revolving around, country's homeland, and whether or not there is this feeling of them or feeling safe or not. The opposition to Pluto is kind of like dealing with a bully. It can be a day where we don't want to mentally or emotionally poke and prod as well. Like not a day to be having meetings or be feeling like you have to be signing something, because under that opposition with Pluto, there is something that's kind of like ominous, that's looming, or something that feels like it's domineering in a way. Watch for obsessive thinking. We don't want to be trying to push conversations. We don't want to be snooping through phones, things like that. And there can be this sense of like the past somehow coming up and it's threatening Pluto in some capacity. On the 19th, Mercury will then enter into the sign of Leo, where it is more prideful, it's more boastful, it's more fun. It's definitely going to be a little bit more action-oriented, especially because as Mercury moves in degrees, it's going to, in the next couple of days, form trines to Jupiter. So communication becomes much more positive, optimistic, not so scary. So look for when this shift happens on the 19th for things to kind of clear up a little bit. I think that might be overshadowed though, because that same day the Sun in Cancer moves to oppose Pluto in Capricorn. So we've seen a couple of these oppositions actually, right? We've seen from the full moon that will be taking place in Capricorn around the 13th. There is going to be a conjunction to Pluto and an opposition to the Sun that will be building. So actually from about the 13th of July all the way through about the 20th, you're going to feel that whole week a little bit of tension basically in communication, and a little bit of tension revolving around whether or not we need to release or let go or kind of kill something off. Now, when the Sun opposes Pluto, it represents like a battle of the egos or the will, and sometimes we see in the world like solar fires, like solar energies die. So we can see like when the Sun opposes Pluto, a leader somehow steps down, or perhaps we see like a general or a celebrity or like an older man transition or pass. So we can see that happen in the world. But specifically for you guys, this is important because it's representing something that's been like this monster in the closet that we've been afraid to deal with. And this is like the final showdown, because this is the halfway point from the time that we had the Sun and Pluto conjunct. It was during all those crazy Capricorn transits earlier this year where we were aware of what we needed to change and transform. It was in our faces, we couldn't ignore it. And now the Sun moves to oppose Pluto in Capricorn, and this will be the last opposition before Pluto moves into Aquarius next year in the spring. Now, Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn again, but this is going to be the last opposition before we see it fully move into Aquarius. That makes me feel like if people have been holding off on making career moves, if they've been holding off on starting families, if there's been long-standing conflict or drama in family dynamics, if you're feeling like you need to quit your job and take care of a family member, if you're feeling like you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom and you want to go back to work, these are things that we can kind of see with this opposition. Then on July the 28th, we're going to see Jupiter turn retrograde in the sign of Aries. Now, this is going to be interesting. I would say really pay attention around the 28th, particularly because, I think when Jupiter retrogrades, there can be like this sense of like insight or like intuition that can kind of kick in. I've seen that sometimes when Jupiter retrogrades, that you could look around and be like, oh, I feel like this is going to happen. Now, according to my software, Jupiter is going to be in the sign of Aries until the better part of, even though it's going to retrograde, until right around the end of October, like right around the 27th or the 28th of October. So we'll have Jupiter in Aries for that long. Now, at that point, Jupiter's going to drop back down into Pisces. It'll go to about 28 degrees of Pisces, and then it'll go direct, and it'll only be there from the end of October until right around Christmas. So it'll only be there for like a little over a month. Jupiter will drop back down into the sign of Aries again, but that won't be until about December 21st. So as Jupiter retrogrades, there can be the sense of like reviewing our beliefs, reviewing what we've been expanding, reviewing what we've been working on. There can be a lot more internal reflection on our philosophies and what we are feeling the need to kind of take action on. Even though retrograde planets don't always have as much external energy, I don't mind a Jupiter retrograde. I feel like it's going to allow us to really kind of ask ourselves, like, especially in the sign of Aries, are we still in alignment with, like, are our actions still in alignment with our philosophy and our belief systems? And like, where can I reroute or redirect some of my actions based off of what I believe in, right? Because Jupiter is about good luck, it's about abundance, it's about philosophy, travel, education. So interesting stuff kind of going on. Aries, like I said, you're going to have Jupiter in your sign, especially if you're within the first like 10 degrees until December. So I think you're good in that, till October. So I think you're good in that sense. But Pisces, you'll get your turn, don't worry. In the end of October, beginning of November, you're going to have Jupiter there for about 2 more months. I'll do a video on that, so you guys don't have to worry about that right now. But I would just say that with Jupiter retrograde, it's time to really reevaluate what we've been expanding and learning, especially about ourselves and our own philosophies, really since about the month of May. So that's been there for a couple of weeks now. I'll do another touch on the Jupiter in Aries video. I think I want to do it closer to when we have it drop back down into Pisces. And then last but not least, on July 30th, we are going to see that Uranus and the North Node are coming into conjunction. Now, the conjunction is going to be actually technically happening, I believe, on August 1st, but you're feeling it now. And then we're going to see in the very first week of August, Uranus, Mars, and the North Node will all conjunct in the sign of Taurus. Now, I've done videos on this. I've talked about it. There's only so much I can say without doing like a very lengthy video. But I am going to let all the 12 signs know where this is taking place in your chart. Just know that when planets conjunct the North Node, it's about this cosmic realignment where we're going further into our destiny. Okay? North Node in Taurus wants us to make love, make music, write poetry, plant gardens, sculpt, really be in our bodies. And a lot of this is about embodiment and how we feel in our bodies, or are we just desensitized and are we just tuning out and not connecting to nature? You know, from my perspective, we've got a lot of people who are just drinking and partying, and it's been several years of being detached because of what's been going on in the world, and a lot of people who are falling victim to being very disconnected to their bodies and what is normal and natural. So this can also be about sensuality. This can also be about fertility. This can be about stability and just the connection that we have to the earthly realm. Taurus is about resources, money, food, our self-esteem, our natural talents, and anything that falls under the kind of Venusian realm, what tastes good, feels good, smells good, that stuff. It's also about what's organic and getting back down to basics and what is natural. So what's unusual is that we see that, and this happens about every 14 to 16 years, the North Node will conjunct Uranus. So we've had this before, and I'll talk about those time periods in my webinar. But when the North Node Uranus conjunction happens, it doesn't always mean something happens that day. It's basically that conjunction is like setting forth like a point that when it becomes activated, like when other planets conjunct that in the future, or when we see a planet retrogrades back and forth over that degree, we're going to see it unfold, and it's going to unfold in a big way over the next several years. It's really the beginning of a new 15-year cycle. So with the North Node conjunct Uranus, there is the need to jump into the future, to liberate. There is a sense of rebelling and needing to do what's kind of off the beaten path or unusual or what's more taboo. With the North Node Uranus conjunction happening in the sign of Taurus, we're going to see a technological revolution. I've thought for some time that this is like the next major revolution is going to be the tech revolution. Huge innovations in energy, in AI, in how and where we get our food from, what we're eating, huge changes and transformations to our physical bodies, where there is probably looking like there's going to be some fusion with tech and the human body. The list goes on. The pros is that we may find a new energy source. We may find new ways to connect with nature. There may be a lot of money in natural resources, in tech and food development, in astrology. It's going to mean something really significant for astrology because Uranus is the planet of astrology. But Uranus is very hard to predict, and usually you see things kind of go side to side and up and down and kind of erratic. We've seen that a lot with the financial situations globally this last year. And the North Node is hard to predict as well. Now, this is going to be happening at 18 degrees of Taurus. So if you have anything from about 17 to 19 degrees of Taurus, pay attention. It's very significant. If you have anything from 17 to 19 degrees of any of the fixed signs, so that's Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, extremely active. If you have a sun, moon, and rising in one of these degrees, it's going to be very prominent because when we see these conjunctions and these squares happening, it's going to take place in angular parts of your chart. It's going to make stuff happen. And these squares are not limited purely to just when the Mars and Uranus conjunct the North Node, because we know that that will in turn oppose the South Node, so that's an opposition. But it will square Saturn in Aquarius days later, and then we're going to see planets move into Leo, which will square everything. And Leo season is like a lot because we're going to see grand fixed crosses. So this is where the wheels of fate turn, things change. So those of you guys who have planets, those 17 to 19 degrees, may the force be with you. I really recommend taking my webinars so that way you're aware of where this is playing out in your life and how to prepare and what this means for your future, because for all of us, it's about leaping into something new. When I was talking about this I did a video with Anna 111 on my channel. We were talking about just reflecting on the last time there was a North Node Uranus conjunction. It was in Pisces. And that's when I learned how to read tarot. And it definitely didn't really unfold for a couple years where I really realized like, wow, like that was the source that started there. But now that we're having this again, it makes me kind of think more about, wow, you know, the house that conjunction is happening in, what that might present for me down the road, and what that means for major changes in my future. So if that interests you, if you want to learn more about that and the history of these conjunctions and how to better kind of plan your future, check that out. All right. So now let's go ahead and get into the 12 signs. So we are going to be starting with Aries and Aries rising. All right, Aries, how are you doing? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you are well. All right, so the month is going to kick off first with, on the 4th, Mercury entering into the sign of Cancer. So we are actually going to see Mercury move from Gemini through Cancer. Okay, so it's going to come into your 4th house. This is going to be bringing up themes in regards to home, family, moving. Mercury rules your 3rd house, which is about movement. It can also be talking about talking to siblings, so aunts, uncles, cousins, things like that. There's been a retrograde there, so it makes me wonder if it's just been about, do I move, do I not move, do we reorganize? Now, Mercury also rules your 6th house, which deals with health and wellness, and it makes me wonder if there's been a sense of like asking family members for help when it comes to a living situation, having to find people to come in and help somebody clean out a closet or a garage, or possibly making plans and scheduling or planning when it comes to the possibility of a move. So Mercury is going to be there for a hot minute. And you'll see that kind of hang out until about the 20th, and that's when it'll go into Leo. Then on the 5th of the month, we're going to see Mars leave your sign, and it's important because Mars rules your sign because you're an Aries or an Aries rising, and it's going to move into your 2nd house in the sign of Taurus. Now, when that happens, you need to watch out because spending is likely. Mars doesn't just rule your 1st house of the body, it also rules your 8th house of other people's resources. So it makes me feel like maybe you're having to spend money to make money. Maybe you're having to take the money that you have made and pay people back because it's on that axis of the 2nd house and also the 8th house. I have a feeling that even though it won't be something that's going to happen until later in the month when Mars comes into conjunction with Uranus, there is this sense of being like, I need to make money because I need to invest money, or I need to make money because I need to monopolize on an opportunity. Maybe you're wanting to get into cryptocurrency because it's going to come into conjunction with Uranus. Maybe there's a sense of you going like, I'm going to loan something to somebody, they're going to pay me back, they're going to give me interest. Something like that could be happening as well. But when your chart ruler changes signs, you're going to feel it. So you go from this really impatient kind of like go, go, go kind of feeling to slowing down, taking your time. So when it comes to spending money, when it comes to accounting, when it comes to paying things off, really look through everything thoroughly. And I would advise you to just take your time. On the 16th of the month, we're going to see a Sun cazimi in the sign of Cancer. And this is going to be when, once again, your third and your sixth house ruler come into a conjunction with the Sun. So if you've been waiting to hear back from somebody in regards to buying a house, selling a house, if you've been waiting to post an ad for a housekeeper, or if you have been waiting to get some results from a family member's health, likely this is going to be the day that this is going to come about. Now, also on the 17th, we're going to see Venus leave the sign of Gemini and go into the fourth house. And Venus, okay, deals with love, relationships, style, decoration, flowers, things that, you know, feel good, smell good. So it's got connections to your second house, which is about money and values, and your seventh house, which deals with partnerships. So perhaps your partner says, well, let's consider listing the house and putting the house up for sale. Or let's see, you know, what would it cost for us to go and get a new rug for the kitchen? There could be something like that. Maybe you're looking for an interior designer. Maybe you're looking for somebody to buy your home. Maybe you're looking to look at a new property and you need to do that with another person. And you might be going back and forth with your spouse about how much money you want to spend to do that. You might be going back and forth with a roommate with how much money you guys want to spend on an apartment if you're going to be renting something. But when Venus moves into the fourth, it's nice. That does make me feel like this can also be really harmonious for family members in general, having family visit. Could be your partner's family visiting you. It could also be that you're just having a romantic partner in the home a little bit more than usual. Now on the 18th, we're going to see Mercury, which will be in the sign of Cancer, come into an opposition with Pluto. Now, Mercury being the ruler of your third and also your sixth, opposing Pluto, ruler of the eighth, is likely to present a situation where there could be a bit of like a standoff or a difficult conversation that you're having with another person. Could be a neighbor, okay? Could be a family member. It could be a partner, but definitely like not seeing eye to eye, or there being some intense exchanges in regards to where you live, how they want something in the house. Like just watch for that day. And then also the next day, we're going to see the sun then in Leo come into, the sun in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto and Capricorn. This makes me feel like there's some strife because you have to shuffle things around, and your responsibility to home versus your expectations at work are a little bit challenging and difficult. Makes me feel like it's going to be hard for you to appease everyone at one time. If you're having to go to work and, you know, the kids are sick, or if you're in a situation where, you know, you have to go to work late because somebody's coming and fixing something at your house, these are the kinds of things that can come up. There may also be this really intense exchange that you have with another person in the home or family about whose responsibility things are at home, who makes dinner, who pays the bills, who's doing this, who's doing that, because Pluto represents power and it's the ruler of your eighth house. So there is going to be some challenge that will come up. You're going to have to kind of find a way to resolve it. Likely this is a long-standing thing, so people who have like been wanting to quit their jobs and stay home for a while, they may really feel it. People who have been having power struggles with a parent, you may now really feel it. And it may materialize as there be somebody who's like losing, having fear of like losing control of some kind of dynamic within the home. On the 19th, we're then going to see Mercury move into the sign of Leo. Okay, so we've got Mercury here. And Mercury going into the 5th is playful, fun, creative, great for playing games, great for taking chances, doing a little gambling maybe, playing with your kids, anything in regards to creative pursuits. I'm liking that in the days ahead, it will make trines here to Jupiter in Aries. So there can be some real positivity about, you know, this is what I'm learning and this is what I've worked on, and like wanting to share with people, wanting to like really have a voice. So that's a wonderful transit for you on the 19th. And then on the 28th, Jupiter is then going to go retrograde, which means he is going to be turning inward, like I said, until the fall. And this might be this feeling of like reevaluating, you know, do we move? Do I want to cut my hair? Am I going to make a change? Now, Jupiter rules your natal 9th house and also your 12th. So likely it's a time where you're more introspective. Maybe you're more reflecting on new spiritual beliefs or things that you've been learning and just applying to your life in general. There is this sense of, I think, maybe there being a real significant like insight that you get, especially for you, because it's in your sign. So there might be a sense of being like, I don't know, I had this dream and I'm gonna like move to Spain. Something like that might come up, and it can be a dream, it can be something that comes up intuitively. It can also just be like a message that you feel like you get from a mentor or a teacher or somebody of that sort. And then last but not least, on the 30th, we are going to see the North Node and Uranus come into conjunction, and it's going to be in your natal 2nd house. Now, Mars will be there as well, so just keep in mind that your chart lord meeting with your 11th house lord of goals and also your 8th house lord of other people. It looks like you might be talking to other people about investments. You might be talking to other people about your goals when it comes to your resources, what you're hoping to build, what you're hoping to accumulate. I could see some of you guys getting into crypto. I could see some of you guys thinking about buying land with a friend or investing in property with a friend, or something that you would be developing. There can also be a sense of investing money into technology, because this is like technological stuff. And yeah, I would just say like, you may feel inclined to suddenly jump in and invest on something, or you may want to become a part of like a financial group or something like that. Be careful with impulse buying and spending. Also, the 2nd house deals with like the throat. It can also deal with the tonsils. There can be something that can come up here with like your voice or just how you're communicating. But this is your spending power. So when Mars comes into conjunction with Uranus, somebody might give you some advice about investing, and you're like, I have the cash, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. Just know that in August, and I'll talk about this next month, after the conjunction to the nodes, there will be a square to Saturn. So there is going to be like some sense of being like, okay, now there's no going back, or there's going to be like karmic repercussions for some of the things that you moved on very quickly. So because this conjunction is happening in your sign, it's really important that you're just taking it easy, not doing any impulse spending. Be careful with also what you're investing in and whose advice you buy. All right, Aries, now let's see what tarot card you get for the month ahead. The card that I get is the King of Wands. So this is you, boo-boo. This is about taking action. This is about being fierce. I think it's interesting to have all these planets be going through your 4th house because it can make you more emotional. And there's this feeling of like responding to changes within the home, responding to things differently. And the King of Wands can be very confident. It can be talking about really taking initiative, being creative, having fun with it. That's something that I really think can be beneficial, is to have fun with what you're doing. The King of Wands can be talking about you or another fire sign man in your life. This is generally something that has to do with like creative projects, passion, adventure, travel. So I'm wondering if you're getting a little bit more adventurous with the idea of where home could be, or you're getting a little bit more adventurous just with your creative endeavors and just how you're showing your energy in general. So it's looking really good for you. Hey Taurus, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're well. Okay, so the month is going to kick off on the 4th as Mercury moves from Gemini to Cancer in your 3rd house. So this can be bringing up themes of communicating more with family, thinking about your daily routine changing. Now, Mercury rules your 2nd house of money and resources and your 5th house of creativity and children. So as Mercury rules those 2 signs and it moves into your 3rd, It makes me feel like there might be more financial planning revolving around like your daily routine and how you can communicate and talk more about creative projects, how you can drum up business and stuff to be able to bring in resources for children. It might have you wanting to have more free time. Mercury going into the third in Cancer can bring up this like wanting to go on like short distance trips. Maybe talking to family more. Maybe it's also going to be interacting with your neighbors more. And if you've been thinking about moving, especially if you have little ones, that could be something that's coming up here as well. On the 1st of the month, we're going to see Mars, on the 5th of the month, we're going to see Mars move into your first house. So your first house or your ascendant is the body, and it can have you feeling a little agitated. It can be feeling a little heated. You could be feeling warmer than usual in terms of temperature. You can be a little bit more agitated by people who are trying to kind of push you along than usual. Mars crossing your ascendant or going into your sign wants you to get active, and it's meant to bring you some kind of motivation. So when it's in your sign, taking action with the body, and I would say take it slow. You don't want to do anything too quick. Mars is the ruler of your natal 12th house and also your 7th. So you might be more prone to arguments and conflicts because of resentment or things that you've been holding back saying to partners. There can be a sense of you feeling a little sensitive and needing space. That's the other way that I could look at it, because Mars rules the 12th house. And over the span of the next month, Mars will make some pretty intense aspects. That's going to bring up themes like who's in charge, whether or not you feel like you have the freedom to go and do what you want to do, challenges with bosses, challenges with relationships. So you're definitely going to be feeling like you're getting it from all different angles. I would say get in nature, ground yourself out, use crystals, eat healthy foods, try to eat organic if you can, and go and get your feet in the dirt. And be finding ways to make your spiritual practice physical. So that can also be like working out or, doing meditation or listening to anything that's going to kind of keep you grounded in a spiritual manner while you're getting physical, if that makes sense. Dance can be great and wonderful for you as well, just to kind of help shake some of these energies out of your system. Be mindful that when Mars is in your sign, you can be a little bit more accident prone. So you want to kind of take it easy in that regard. Then on the 16th of the month, we're going to see the sun come into a cazimi with Mercury. Now, because Mercury is the lord of your 2nd and also your 5th, that might represent something in regards to talking to a family member about where you would be living, where you would be moving, talking to a family member possibly about children, or talking to somebody in the family about children. And I say that because it involves your 5th house lord, resources, money, stuff like that. The Sun Mercury cazimi can be like a really insightful phone call that you get from a relative or a family member. It could also be possible that there is some like really good news that comes in because the sun is the ruler of the 4th. So you hear like so-and-so passed an exam, or so-and-so, got a new job, or so-and-so is having a baby. There can be some kind of like celebration that's going on and you receive that good news. Then on the 17th, Venus is going to move into Cancer. So Venus will leave the 2nd house, go into the 3rd house. That's where the action is here this month. And Venus is your chart ruler. So you are going to feel it when Venus switches signs. And Venus is about harmony. It's about relationships. It's about money and resources. And it's leaving your 2nd house where it's been a lot of talking about it. But then it's going to move into your 3rd house, and then it's like, well, how does it make you feel? Love can definitely be, found in your local neighborhood. Going on a date to a local like pastry shop or like, restaurant can be wonderful. Taking a walk around, your neighborhood with your dog. You might meet someone. There can also be a sense of just positive things coming to you through the 3rd house. So it could be that a neighbor brings over cookies. It could be that you are loving and more communicative and sensitive in your nature. It's going to be nice to have Venus move into Cancer because it's going to form sextiles to your ascendant. And so there can be a sense of you being really passionate with Mars on your ascendant and Venus in your third, and you're really passionate about what you're communicating and what you're sharing. Wonderful time to do like a short distance trip away. So if you're looking to get out of town for the weekend or something like that, that can be a wonderful time to do that while Venus is in your third house. Now, on the 18th, we're going to have Mercury in Cancer. So Mercury's right here, and Mercury is going to form an opposition to Pluto. So Mercury will be in your third house, making an opposition to Pluto in your ninth house. Now, once again, Mercury rules resources, Mercury rules children. It's coming up against Pluto. So there can be a sense of like you and a partner being at odds about how you handle a kid, you and a lover being at odds about whether or not you travel, you and a partner being at odds about whether or not you are moving. There can be some squabbles in the neighborhood. There can be some, things going on that's kind of weird with neighbors. Definitely a time to just be more aware of opposition and issues with crime, like threatening individuals, stuff like that can kind of come up, unfortunately. But for the most part, I would say, because Mercury is dealing with the second house strongly as well, there might be this feeling of like you being at odds about a financial situation in regards to something third house related, a car, moving, purchasing a cell phone. And somebody might be like, why are you going to spend that much money on it? So that's one way that can kind of come up. And on the next day, on the 19th, then we're also going to see the Sun in Cancer make an opposition to Pluto. And the Sun is the ruler of the 10th house, which is the ends of situations. It's also domestic stuff, home and family. You want to watch out because I get this feeling that the 17th and the 18th, there can be some really intense exchanges, which could project someone or something out of your house. Now, the positive thing is that if you've been hoping to move, if you've been hoping to buy, sell, rent, lease, this might help you do it. But there might be some challenges that kind of come up in the process. Conflict with a partner could materialize as somebody being like, I need time out of the house for a little bit. I need to cool out. It could also be a partner going, I got this phone call. Something's going on with my sister. I got to go. So just listen for that stuff. That stuff can be coming up as a result of the oppositions, especially like more so male figures or siblings. It's going to be one of those two. Then on the 19th, Mercury is going to move into your fourth house, so it'll be in the sign of Leo, and that is going to be more about how you're communicating or traveling or having to be around or with family. It can also be reorganizing the house. That's the other way that I could see this, or getting news that family is going to be possibly visiting or vice versa. Now, it's not a bad move because it will eventually make trines to Jupiter in Aries. So it's basically saying like, it's bringing good blessings. Now, Jupiter is the ruler of your 8th house. So some Taurus and Taurus risings might be dealing with situations where you've got a family member or somebody who transitions, but it can be relating to other people. So it can be like your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or somebody who's close to you loses someone and they're dealing with an inheritance situation. Could be that somebody transitions in the family and you've known for a little while, especially with Jupiter getting ready to retrograde, that they are not well, and you may not be surprised by some of this news, unfortunately, as this kind of comes about. Then on the 28th, we're going to see that Jupiter will go retrograde. So that means that it's turning inward. It's going to be like this until the fall. Then it'll drop back down into Pisces briefly, and it'll go into your 11th house, which is about your goals. But for the time being, it's going to hang out in Aries for a little bit longer. It can have you moody, Jupiter in the 12th house. It's like things are changing, things are shifting. And a lot of this is because Jupiter is the ruler of your natal 8th. So you feel changes coming. You feel resources are changing. You feel changes going on with you and your partner's resources or money. That's something else that you could be feeling. And you're like, okay, I know that there's a change in the home or domestic zone of my life. And yes, Taurus, this is true. You're really going to see this over the next month as you have planets move into your 4th house, and it's going to go bing, 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 and it's going to create a big grand fixed cross, and you're going to realize we're moving, or we're having a kid, or, you know, we're selling our house, or we're demolishing and rebuilding, like something like that can happen. And you know, without this pressure, then we would get too comfortable and we would never really make big shifts in our life. So I just want you to know that even though this can be a month where there's like a lot of action cosmically, especially the end of July going into August, keep your eyes on the prize, really pay attention to what's going on with you emotionally and what's also going on with you and your family. And last but not least, we've got this Mars-Uranus, this is a mess, sorry. We've got this Mars-Uranus conjunction that's going to be happening on your ascendant in your first house. So this is really important for Taurus and Taurus rising. Mars is the ruler of your 12th house. It can deal with healing. It can deal with needing to be alone. It can deal with hospitalization. It can deal with anything in regards to subconscious stuff, right? Because it's the 12th house, we don't see it. I think it's about repressed anger or aggression, and I think it's also just about what's going on with you psychologically. And as it comes into conjunction with your 10th house lord, Uranus, and the North Node here, I believe this is going to be about a huge shift that's going on. That's going to be a spiritual test that is helping you align with your new purpose in life. For some of you guys, it's going to be taking better care of your body, because the first house is the body. For other people, it's going to be like, I don't want to be told what to do anymore. I'm frustrated. I quit. I want my own company. I want my own business. There's some sense of like getting frustrated and getting impatient. Know that, and I'll talk about this next month, once Mars leaves this conjunction around, you know, it's like 18 to 20 degrees, it will then come into squares with Saturn, and it will also come into squares with planets that are going to be here. So actions have consequences. Impatience, reactionary, getting angry, getting short with partners, there are consequences, and you are going to be a little bit more agitated. So be careful with what you're saying to people at work. Be careful what you're saying to family members, because there is the potential that there could be a real blow up that is going on for you later in the month of August. Okay, Taurus, hang in there. Let's see what the cards say for you for the month ahead. Wow, Queen of Wands. So you're dealing with a feisty or a spicy female individual. Is this you? Look for an Aries or a Sag or maybe a Leo that kind of pops into your life in some sense. This makes me feel like this is about channeling like the inner passion, the inner creativity. It's interesting that we first pulled the King of Wands and now we have the Queen. So it's saying much more like feminine. It's about being receptive of creativity, life, intuition, magic, right? Because she's got a cat that is at her feet. She's also got like a wand that she's holding on to. Just being the captain of your ship and knowing that maybe you need a vessel to direct that energy. Maybe you need to be doing yoga. Maybe you do need a wand to be meditating and focusing on where you're putting your energy. Otherwise, your energy could be a bit scattered. But the Queen of Wands, let's talk about mastering it in a feminine sense and being able to bring in life or infuse life into new projects, and about being able to express yourself courageously and fearlessly. So it looks like a really exciting month ahead, Taurus. You'll have to let me know. Good luck. Hey Gemini, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to see what the month has in store for you. It's going to be kicking off actually on the 4th when we see Mercury enter into the sign of Cancer. So this is important because Mercury rules your chart, because you're either a Gemini or a Gemini rising. So when these shifts happen, you're going to feel it. Mercury moving into your second house is going to bring up the theme of money, resources, how much money you're spending on your home, your cost of living, your food, your family. It's also going to bring up the theme of like what money you have to spend. It's great for business, especially any business that deals with home, property, real estate, anything in that regard. So you might be more aware of how much you're spending. You might be aware of how much more you need or what you need to invest in. There can be a sense of you also making tweaks or tune changes with your finances, or maybe even with what you're eating. That's the other way that I could look at this. Then on the 5th of the month, we're going to see Mars leave the sign of Aries, and it's going to be moving into the sign of Taurus, okay? So it's going to go into your natal 12th house. Now, this is going to be a hidden house. It's about rest, recuperation. It's about spirituality. It's about sleeping, things that happen behind the scenes that are private. Now, Mars rules your 6th house. It also rules your 11th house. So it's going to bring up the theme of health, coworkers, accidents, delays, and also friendships in your 12th. You want to watch for conflicts with people at work. Not everybody who you work with is your friend, so keep that in mind. There can be friends that have health issues. There can be pets that have health issues. Mars does deal with like motivation, anger, frustration. So perhaps maybe like there's some frustration over friends not getting back to you in a timely manner, or not feeling like you have support when you need support. So that's one thing I would look for. And when Mars is in your 12th house, you're going to be feeling a little frustrated, and it would really be beneficial for you to be doing some kind of yoga, because it rules your 6th house, which can be like yoga or kundalini or any kind of spiritual exercise or practice to kind of calm those energies and help you wind down a little bit more. Now, then on the 16th of the month, we are going to see Mercury come into a cazimi with the Sun, okay? And this is going to be receiving a message. It's really important because Mercury rules your chart. So it's going to be this theme of like a really prominent conversation, a talk that you need to have, you receive a text message, something that's really insightful. And I think that maybe you're going to see it coming because you're kind of intuitive with Mercury transits. And it might be like you have a feeling like you're going to hear from somebody, and then ding, they send you a text message or they call you. Look for something like that. There can also be like a book that you pick up maybe, or something where you're going to be learning more about real estate, or learning more about money, or you're going to be learning how to cook more. Maybe you'd like join a new YouTube channel, or something that's going to be teaching you about how to do more domestic things. So that's the other way I could see it, like do-it-yourself stuff maybe that you can be fixing around the house. That's one way that that could play out. Then on the 17th, we're going to see Venus leave your sign, and it's going to then move into the sign of Cancer. So Venus going into the 2nd house is really strong. That's going to be bringing up the theme of your 12th house once again, and also your 5th house. So this makes me feel like you're maybe investing a little bit of money into things that bring you pleasure, or things that you like to do when you relax. Like I could see you going like, you know what, the living room needs a new TV. Or let's put a brand new refrigerator in the kitchen, or let's get a sports bar or something so we can entertain at home. That's the feeling that I'm getting with Venus moving into the 2nd house. It might cost a little bit of money for you to facilitate this, but you might be like, you know what, it's going to be for sports or recreation, and it's also going to be something that we can do, that we can enjoy. I have a feeling it's going to be aesthetic changes too. So you might want to paint something. There might be a sense of you wanting to add something on to something, and you may have to spend a little bit of money to get there, is the feeling that I'm getting. Then on the 18th, we're going to see Mercury, which will already be in Cancer by then, come into an opposition with Pluto. Pluto rules your 6th, Mercury rules your chart, and it's also the ruler of your 4th. And it makes me feel like there is a snag or a challenge or a delay with making a change within your home. Or maybe you're finding out that there is like issues with contractors, or there's delays with getting something clean or getting something kind of worked out. Mercury in opposition to Pluto, it can be a time where there can be some stuff that's coming up also that's really significant in terms of money and resources, because Mercury is going to be hanging out in your 2nd house. So it's your money versus somebody else's money. So there can be this thing of being like, oh, I forgot to pay a bill. Oh my gosh, do I owe no more now? Am I getting like a email or a warning or an alert that I'm going to have to pay like an overdue payment fee? Something like that can happen. I would say be really careful with secrets, going through other people's stuff, invasions of privacy, whether that's happening to you or someone else. Be very careful with credit cards, banking, passwords, anything that could be hacked or could be gotten into, because Mercury can be a key. So when it's in your second house with an opposition to Pluto, there can definitely be somebody who gets in. I'd be a little weird and suspicious of just like letting a cable man into my house this month and letting him fix something and not being home. New housekeepers, people who are in the house, or maybe even taking care of pets or watching your place that you're not familiar with, especially if they have access. Make sure everything is locked up, make sure everything is safe, so you're not in a situation where you're potentially having something go missing or going missing. I'll just leave it at that. On the 18th, we're also going into the 19th, you're going to then see the sun in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto, and that is the Lord of your third house. Perhaps maybe it's like you're having a really intense exchange with a neighbor, maybe with your sibling. There can be a sense of somebody saying, I need access to this, giving you a phone call and saying I'm coming over, and you're like, it doesn't work for my schedule. There's been a long-standing series of oppositions to Pluto, and Pluto in the 8th house also deals with like other people's resources, other people's money. So it can also be your partner's money, where you have to fix something and your partner's like, I don't have the money for this. Like, I can't fix the car that's broken down. Can you handle it? And that opposition can present a situation where you're kind of like, I'm so sick of feeling like I have to be the person who is experiencing these delays or the person who's fixing things all the time. You might feel like you're always fixing or kind of bankrolling things. On the 19th, Mercury is then going to move into your third house in Leo. Mercury in the third house is strong. I'm liking that it's going to be making sextiles to your ascendant. I'm liking that it's also going to be trining Jupiter inevitably at some point. So it's going to be bringing in some helpful friends, people who want to partner with you, people who want to support you. Mercury changing signs, obviously you're going to feel right because you're ruled by Mercury. So when it shifts from a more Cancer watery sign to a fixed fire sign, you're going to actually see stuff get done. So look for that. On the 28th of the month, we're going to see that Jupiter is going to go retrograde in Aries. So it's going retrograde. Jupiter rules your 7th. It also rules your 10th. You're reflecting and reviewing on your goals when it comes to relationships and your career. You're reflecting and maybe reconnecting with friends that you haven't seen in a while. There is a sense of you wanting to connect to old friends or wanting to call that person up that you haven't seen in a while. There may be a sense of thinking about who you could network with and connect to help you with a situation. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it is more internal. So there can be a sense of friends traveling, you not being able to see people as much. Maybe there's been a lot of togetherness recently, and now people are going to be traveling, or they're going to be like out of town. So that's another way that can play out for you. And last but not least, we are also going to be seeing on the 30th, Mars and Uranus are going to be conjunct, and that is going to be in your 12th house. Now, Mars rules goals and friendships. It also rules delays, and Uranus is the ruler of the 9th. So if you were planning on joining friends and going on a trip somewhere, part of me wonders if that retrograde is going to be travel plans change, somebody can't make it, there's a delay, you can't be there, something goes on. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. That's very possible. And that Mars-Uranus conjunction, you're going to feel like the world is on fire and it's a crazy place, and you're going to be like, wow, this is nuts. Like, I need to take cover. You might start studying more philosophical or spiritual kind of things. There may be a sense of you wanting to join a group or working with a group of people so you can study astrology or understand more of like what's going on in the world, and it might be like more secretive or private in nature. So that's the other way that I would look at it. Very interesting month ahead for you, Gemini. So let's see what the cards have to say for the month of July for you. Wow, getting all these Kings and Queens. You got the King of Cups, so this can be you really tuning into your intuition or your emotions, mastering them. But this can also be a water sign, so look for a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. This can be talking about your dreams, your visions, right? Especially with that North Node Uranus conjunction, the 12th, your dreams can be really symbolic. Maybe you're feeling more creative, maybe you're feeling more spiritual, more whimsical, more sensitive, more emotional. Lots of planets in Cancer can have us feeling that way, but I'm also wondering if this is going to be aspects that are going to Neptune in your 10th house, and if this is like you going like how you feel about the life you're living, how you feel about the home you live in, how you feel about your job and how you're making money. There's like a need to address emotions and feelings more so now than usual. And it's okay to lean into that and to be doing whatever you can to be exercising your emotional and intuitive growth and expansion. So it looks like that is going to be the real emphasis for you for the month ahead. Hey Cancer, how's it going? Welcome to July. If it is your birthday this month, happy birthday to you. I hope you are doing well. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the month is going to kick off with the 4th of July when we see Mercury entering into your sign. This is going to have you, on one hand, a little bit more probably spiritual, intuitive, a little bit more cautious, emotional, and just sensitive. You know, having your 12th house lord on your ascendant might make you feel like you feel things coming before they do. It's also activating your 3rd house, which means you're anticipating hearing from certain people or having conversations. Maybe you have a dream that prompts you to think about the fact that you need to call somebody, reach out to someone. Maybe it's about a sibling. Maybe it's that you had a dream that you received an email or that you heard from a family member. But Mercury in your sign is going to have you more communicative about your intuition, your feelings, and what you're picking up, or just what it is that you have to say. That's going to be a theme really for the first half of the month. Then on the 5th of the month, we're going to see that Mars is going to leave Aries and it's going to go into the sign of Taurus. So it's going to move into your 11th house. This is going to bring lots of action in regards to socializing, going to parties, seeing people, hanging out with friends, and yeah, having a good time. You might find that you're hanging out with like a higher class of friends, people who have a little bit more class, or they have a little bit more money. There is a richness to Taurus. Now, Mars is traditionally the ruler of your 5th house of children, playtime, dating, lovers, and creative projects. It's also the ruler of your 10th house of career. So I think it's a good idea to be socializing with some of the people who are coming in, because they could be other creatives, they could be artists, they could have their own businesses, they could help expand and connect you to people when it comes to your career. So if you own your own business, or if you've been trying to start your own business, you might rub elbows with somebody or meet somebody who's like, I need somebody just like you, and open the door to new clients, new friends, new associations and networks that really allow you to shine. So even though I know you're going to feel like, I don't know, can I get along with these people? Can I get on with this crowd? Like, is this a good idea? I really encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone and do consider spending time with people in this new group. Now, on the 16th, we're going to see a Sun, Mercury, Cazimi, and this is when Mercury is in your sign and it'll conjunct the Sun. This is going to be probably a flash of insight and intuition for you. I think it's also going to bring up this theme of like making a shift and making a move, especially when it comes to your security or your values. It is also bringing up, once again, your 11th house and your 3rd house lord. So maybe you have a good idea. You decide that you want to write it all down. You have a really significant dream, write it all down. You get a phone call from somebody and you start talking about something in regards to business, money, resources, investments, or partnering with somebody to help you be able to bring more resources in. I would look for that around the 16th, because I have a feeling that it's going to be very strong for you and it's going to require you to act. So you have to follow your hunches, you have to follow your intuition to be able to get that cosmic goodie. On the 17th of the month, we're going to see Venus leave Gemini and it's going to come into your sign. So that's cool. Having Venus in your sign is wonderful for just giving yourself more love. If you want to get a new haircut, if you want to change your style a little bit, if you want to wear something that you wouldn't usually wear, if you want to do a little bit of like a wardrobe makeover, new cosmetics, if just whatever, it's bringing in more love to you. And I think the friends are showing the love this month. I also think that the family is showing the love this month. And there might be a lot of love from friends and family who you've been disconnected from. So if you haven't spoken to a friend in a while, you might communicate and interact with them in a much more loving way. I feel like this is also about self-love and the need to fill your own cup. It reminds me a lot of like the Ace of Cups. So being gentle and soft with yourself, having Venus on your ascendant can definitely bring in some admirers. So that's one thing that I would say to watch for, is that you could bring an admirer in unexpectedly who kind of pops in and yeah, they just find you a little bit more attractive. So you have a little bit more swag than you usually would. On the 18th of the month, we are going to see Mercury in your sign come into an opposition with big bad Pluto. So this makes me feel like there's a secret and you're confronting somebody about a secret. There's a lot of anxiety, or there's some kind of tension or something that you've been holding back talking about or saying with another person, and you feel very strongly like you just need to like give them a piece of your mind. Be careful on this day, give or take a day, because there can be a sense of you like emotionally lashing out and saying things that can be very hurtful, especially if it's like connected to like a romantic partner, a marriage partner, a business partner. There can be a sense of like really lashing out at somebody and yeah, like just giving them a piece of your mind. That next day, we're also going to see the sun come into an opposition with Pluto as well. And that makes me feel like you're standing up for yourself. There's a sense of like, not only did you say something, but you're like, I'm done with this. I don't value this anymore. Or, you know, this isn't working for me. There's something like that that's happening where you're dealing with like a power struggle in regards to either a romantic or a professional dynamic. And you're like, this is toxic. I got to cut this loose. This isn't really in alignment with where my life is going. And there can be some arguments that you're having revolving around your self-care, and if that means that you're not being a good friend or you're not being a good partner, and like it can get intense, okay? So just take it easy, take it easy. On the 19th, Mercury moves into the sign of Leo, and that is going to be lighting up your second house of money, resources, business. What I'm liking is that in the days ahead, it will form a trine to Jupiter. So really great for making money, working, expanding business, you know, telling people that you're taking on clients, setting up websites, things like that, because there's some kind of expansion that's getting ready. So as planets begin to move through Leo, your self-esteem comes back later in the month. You're building yourself up. You're starting to focus on resources and having more of an ability to bring in resources and make money. So you're feeling really good about that whole process as well, and feeling a little bit more solid in your own skin. On the 28th of the month, we're going to see that Jupiter is going to go retrograde. So that means you're reviewing and reflecting on anything in regards to your career. Now, all the cardinal signs are really feeling this because it's happening in an angular part of your chart. So the squares you've been seeing recently as like all these fresh starts, the end of June, early July, of just feeling more assertive, needing more independence, it's putting all of this emphasis in your 10th house to be like, take charge, start the business, be the leader. It's okay. Like, it's okay to have a little bit more control. It's okay to feel like you need to be on top of your schedule more. It's okay to be a little bit more assertive with people. And I think that if those of you guys who have been thinking about starting new jobs, or you're in the process of looking for one or planning, the retrograde can bring one back to you. It can bring back an opportunity to return back to somewhere that you used to work. So if you left a job and you want to go back to somewhere that you used to work, the retrograde can bring that up for you as well. And then the real big news is going to be at the end of the month, but really it's going to go all the way through the first week of August. The North Node and Uranus are coming into conjunction with each other. Now, Uranus rules your 8th house of other people, karma, death, debt, and it will come into conjunction with the North Node, which is about the the fated karmic past, like where we're actually going, you know? So it's destiny, it's connected to destiny. Mars is going to be there, and I have this feeling that there can be a sense of strife maybe that you're having with like a friendship, like you're having to feel like you have to cut a friendship off, and you're like, I just can't do this anymore. This person's like really reactionary. It can be that a friend cuts you off because Mars is going to be in the 11th. So a friend can get aggressive with you and say, you know what, like we're not friends anymore. Watch out for tiffs over money. Watch out for tiffs over secrets or drama. That can be something else that can kind of come up. So it can be a little bit difficult as you're going through some of these power struggles in your relationships, and then you feel like you need a friend to fall back on, and the friend can be like, we're not cool. Something like that can happen. So it can kind of feel like a 1-2 punch. Just take it easy. Don't have arguments with people. Be open to using that Mars-Uranus energy as like joining professional associations, or going and starting one to help kind of move forward some of the professional things that you're working on. And it could literally be starting a new business. You just don't realize it yet. But it is the marker for new friends and more powerful people to be coming into your life that you're going to be socializing and networking with. That's going to help push you forward and evolve not just your goals, but also your professional life in general. So let's see what the cards have to say for you for the month ahead. This is going to be tarot for you. Okay, and the card that I get is the Seven of Wands. It's about coming out on top, right? Like when you see the Seven of Wands, it's like saying like being challenged but standing your ground, like, you know, being in a tip-top position and somebody who's not going to get kind of knocked off the top. That's the feeling that I'm getting looking at this. This can be about combativeness. This can be about conflict, but it's about being able to handle it in a way where you're like, I'm not going to let this get out of hand, or I'm not going to be kind of knocked from my place. It's about rising to the occasion. So I feel like there may be some conflicts that are happening this month that it is what it is. It was inevitable. Perhaps maybe you're in a situation where you're like, you know what, I finally have to have this conversation with somebody and clear the air. Perhaps maybe it's a situation where there's a lot of competitiveness going on professionally. I could see that with the squares from your first house to your 10th, and you're learning like to be confident and to stand your ground and not let other people push you around and not feel like you're kind of not being able to maintain your place. And I don't know if that's in society. I don't know if that's at work. I don't know if that's in a relationship. But the Seven of Wands is generally a card that's about being able to overcome the obstacles. And even though things are looking really challenging, that you'll persevere and you will push on through. Hey Leo, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. Happy birthday to you if it is your birthday. I hope you're doing very well. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the month is going to kick off on the 4th as we see Mercury move from Gemini into the sign of Cancer. Now, Leo, I have to tell you, this is the month or the couple weeks right before your birthday. And a lot of placements are going into your 12th house. So it's about rest, renewal, releasing, letting go. It can be very emotional. There can be a sense of having to let things go that we don't want to, or that we didn't see coming because you're in preparation for your new year. So the 12th house is a natural house of endings, especially emotionally, because Cancer is 12th house to your sun or your rising. Because Mercury rules your natal 2nd house and it also rules your natal 11th house, there can be this feeling of questioning, who are my friends? Do I have people on my side? Are you stressed out about money? Are you worried about resources? Is there a sense of you feeling like it's hard for you to communicate? These can be feelings that you can be having as a result of Mercury's transit through your 12th. However, it can be great for like dream interpretation, past life regression, really treating your body well, and like maybe going to a spa, resting and recuperating, and just focusing on renewal and taking really good care of yourself. It'd be a great time to like have like a get together with friends where you can hang out and watch movies and spend time together. It would be also a wonderful time for you to start thinking about what your intentions are for the year ahead and how you can focus more on either your health and what you're eating and how that could positively affect your mindset, or also just getting ahead and strategizing in terms of resources so you're not feeling so stressed out about home and money situations, because that can be coming up. Then on the 5th of the month, we're going to see Mars move from the sign of Aries to Taurus. Now, I have to tell you, July and August are very active months because we're going to see a great deal of action in Taurus. We've got Saturn still in your 7th house. We've got the South Node in your 4th, and all the planets are going to move through your ascendant, and it's going to create a fixed cross. So just know that there's going to be a lot of pressure, and you're going to feel the pressure to act at work or make changes at work. Mars being the ruler of your 9th and also being the ruler of your 4th makes me feel like those of you guys who have been due for quitting a job, taking a new job, giving a boss a piece of your mind, these things can all be coming. We don't want to be too reactionary. That's the energy that's going to be in the air, is being reactionary as Mars and Uranus get closer together. So I think your philosophy and your belief about work is changing. Perhaps maybe with your 4th house lord in conjunction to Uranus, it's like there's the possibility of taking a new job, but it would prompt you having to move. There can also be a bit of conflict or strife going on with a family member, and you're having some issues possibly with one of your parents, and there's like a bit of like a back and forth about a domestic or a home matter. So if you own property together, if you live together, that can get a little stressful. I guess Mars going into the 10th means you have this feeling of like really strong beliefs about what your job is or what you're here to do, and it can really bring a lot of zest to you going out for the jobs that you want. So that's positive in that sense. On the 16th, we're going to see a Sun Mercury Cazimi taking place in the sign of Cancer, and it'll be in your 12th house. And I think this is where you're going to get some insight from a friend. Like maybe you need to call a friend and you're like, I just need to vent. Can you help me with this? I just need some, some back and forth, like, help give me the motivation or just tell me what to do. Can be a time where you're also like tuning in and possibly connecting with a group who can kind of assist you behind the scenes, or maybe you're participating in some kind of like group spiritual thing. The sun is your chart ruler, so whenever there's a conjunction like this, there is definitely a lot of action. You might be the one who initiates it because you are the sun. It can be that a friend from the past kind of resurfaces and you guys end up talking about what your goals are, what's been going on in your life currently. On the 17th of the month, we're going to see Venus enter into the sign of Cancer. So Venus is going to leave Gemini. It's going to go to your 12th house. And it makes me wonder if there's some stuff going on where you're really emotional about endings, like either relationship endings, job endings, like something that's making you like really emotional. And Venus being in the 12th house is nice because it does make me feel like there can be a lot of like bed pleasure. So it can be great for your sex life. It can be great for redecorating a bedroom. It is highlighting still the ruler of the 10th house, and it's also bringing up the ruler of the 3rd. Watch out for inner office relationships, people who might be interested in kind of having something behind the scenes, and like maybe it's something that people can't know about. That's the other way that I could kind of see this going on for you as well. And when Venus is in the 12th, it's really great. It's like especially in Cancer, it's like wonderful to feel like you're doing some kind of spiritual routine within the home, especially anything that involves water, like baths, soaking, cleansing, purification, clearings, anything like that can be wonderful for you as well. On the 18th of the month, we're going to see that Mercury, which will have moved to Cancer, will be in opposition to Pluto. And Pluto is, I feel like, talking a lot about your workspace, your coworkers, your schedule. And personally, I feel like with Mercury in opposition, you're feeling like stressed out. It might be hard to maintain a normal routine. You might be feeling like you're worried about a financial situation, or you're feeling like you're having to push to go to work even though you don't feel like it, because money might be tight. It could also materialize as, I would say, be careful with who you're friends with at work, because, the 6th house can deal with enemies. And being that Mercury is coming into an opposition with Pluto in your 6th house, be careful about like telling somebody at work that you're going through a really difficult time personally, and then call into work sick and you're like, I'm sick, and somebody's like, no, they're not, they're going through like a divorce. Something like that can happen where like the cat gets out of the bag and somebody kind of burns you for needing to take some personal time off. It can also be a time to watch your digestion, your stomach, where your anxiety is affecting your health. And that can kind of create some issues and some upsets as well. Then following day, we're then going to see the sun, which will still be in Cancer in your 12th. It'll also oppose Pluto. And it's going to bring up this theme of like you versus somebody else. Now, in these situations, those oppositions can be like, quitting a certain habit, quitting a certain schedule, quitting a job, something that's kind of really taken up a lot of time and space for quite some time. That transit factored in with Mars coming into conjunction with Uranus really makes me feel like there could be a sudden job change that might be coming soon. On the 19th of the month, Mercury moves into your sign. So you're feeling communicative, chatty, you have a lot to say, you have things that you want to tell people.
In the week ahead, Mercury is going to trine Jupiter, so it's going to bring more good news, optimism. Perhaps maybe you're telling people that you took a new teaching position, or that you got accepted to a program, that you're publishing your first book, that you booked your air flight tickets to go somewhere and you're getting ready to travel, so you're really excited about that. You might be on the move, and that might require you to be a little bit more in tune also with your finances, because Mercury rules your second house. But self-esteem seems really good from that transit. On the 28th of the month, Jupiter is going retrograde, which means it's time to go inward. Now, that can present delays in regards to traveling. So if you're going to be traveling the next couple of months, that can happen. I'm anticipating, look for those delays somewhere around mid-July that can go on. You can also see some delays that are going on in September when we get into Libra season. But when Jupiter's going retrograde in the 9th, it's like now we return somewhere. So you might return to a country you visited. You might go back to school. You might finish a program. You might reach out to a teacher. You might return to church. These are things that might happen as Jupiter goes retrograde. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative. It just means that it's going to be more internal, or might be more private in that sense. So I'll talk more about that in future videos, so you guys know when it's going in and out of the signs. It's going to stay in Jupiter really up until the fall. We're going to see around the end of October, it'll go back into Pisces. It'll be there for a little bit, and then it'll return back into Aries. But I bet you like it in Aries because it's making trines to your personal planets in Leo, and it creates those fire trines. So there's definitely a lot of action going on, you know? And last but not least, like I said, we have this Mars-Uranus conjunction that's going to be taking place around the 30th of July. The truth is that we're already feeling the North Node Uranus conjunction now, but at the end of July and the first week of August, Mars, Uranus, and the North Node are all going to align. Now, this is a pretty wild global event. It's going to create some rocks and rattles and rolls and some explosive things all over, but it's really taking the 7th house Lord, which is partnerships, the 9th house Lord, which is about philosophy, law, legal, or traveling, and it's fusing it together in the 10th, which is why I'm wondering, like, does somebody say to you, will you take this job in another state and relocate? Do you meet somebody while you're on a trip and they ask you, would you ever move to Australia? Would you ever move to the other side of the country for me? You know, maybe suddenly you have to quit your job because you're going back to school, or you're finding that there's some challenge between facilitating your relationships and your career stuff. There's something like that kind of going on there. Maybe your philosophies about relationships is shifting and it's transforming. For some individuals, this can be breaking up with a partner. This can be breaking up with a boss. This can be going through litigation or legal situations in any one of those two. Touch wood, let's hope that's not the case, but that can definitely come up with that conjunction. My advice to you would be, don't freak out and walk out of a job. Because later in August, when we start seeing that Mars passes these degrees, it will come into a hard angle with Saturn, and it'll also come into a bunch of angles here with you. And the truth is if you're making any job changes or you're making any shifts, like, make sure you're making decisions that's best for you. Not for a boss, not for an employer, not for a partner. It's got to be for you, because you're going to feel the pressure in August very much of being like, I feel like I got to do what's best for me, even though it doesn't really resonate with my family, my partners, my this, my that. You're going to be at a crossroads. So we'll talk about that more next month. Just know that there is a lot of clearing that's going on for you right now. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the tarot and see what the tarot has to say for the month of July for you, Leo. Wow, the card that I get is the Ace of Wands. Nice. Taking charge, taking action, new beginnings, new opportunities, especially creatively. That seems to be the big thing that you're doing, is lots of creative opportunities. I'm excited for you. The one thing that I would say that makes me wonder with this is, like, what are you starting that's new? What are you planting? What are you bringing to life? What are you initiating? What are you setting off? What are you excited about, right? There's something that you're excited about. And I think a lot of this is the fire trines. I think this is going to be about new passion, new creativity, new romance, new opportunities when it comes to your career, especially. A lot of this is about your career and what you're feeling like you can bring to life. So look forward to that. There's good things coming. Hey Virgo, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to get into the month ahead with you, so let's take a look and see what's going on. Well, July is going to be an active month. It really is. We're going to start off on the 4th when Mercury is going to be entering the sign of Cancer. Now, this is important because Mercury rules your chart. Obviously, you have a connection with the messenger god. It's been going retrograde. It's been a little hectic probably for you in the work zone. Lots of changes to your schedule and kind of going back and forth and pivoting on things. As Mercury moves into your natal 11th house, it's highlighting your first house because it's your first house lord and your 10th house lord. So this is like you personally, your goals, your responsibilities in regards to the Cancer area of your life. So your goals and your responsibility with friends, your goals when it comes to the home that you want, where you want to be living, the family that you want to be having, how you want to feel at home, right? And where you're taking action in these areas of your life. You might be communicating this with friends more. You might be talking to people more who already have homes, families, kids, asking their advice, going back and forth with them and that stuff. Probably just a lot more emotional about what you want your life to feel like and what you want your life to be like. And the good news is that you have a lot of support from friends in the midst of this transit that you can kind of lean on or call on in your time of need. Then on the 5th of the month, we're going to see that Mars is going to be moving into the sign of Taurus. So it's going to leave your 8th house where it's been kind of tumultuous, I would assume. It's now moving into your 8th, so it's a fellow Earth sign. And Mars is the ruler of your 3rd house of communication and your 8th house of resources and transformation. So when Mars goes into the 9th house, you may feel like you want to take a new course, you want to travel, you want to teach something. There's a lot of motivation for the bigger picture. And maybe you're communicating and you're learning something, or you're looking to book a trip or plan a trip. Maybe you're looking to make a change and you want to learn more about investing, or you want to learn more about resources, you want to learn more about a language or something like that. But Mars going into the 9th makes me feel like you're more prone to want to either start a course or travel. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. And that's part of the transformation that comes from Mars in general. Maybe you're talking about wanting to go places or even learn languages. Then on the 16th, we're going to see a Sun-Mercury Cazimi, and that's going to be in the sign of Cancer. Very important because you're ruled by Mercury with that conjunction to the Sun, which is traditionally the ruler of your 12th. It makes me feel like maybe a friend calls you and says, oh, I had a dream about you. Are you okay? Maybe you have a dream about another person. Maybe somebody lets you in on a secret or some insight that you didn't know about. Maybe a friend sits down and has a heart-to-heart with you and kind of talks to you about where you can go in regards to your goals, and they're helping you make sense of things, so you feel like you have some support as you're moving through some of these changes in your life right now. A friend can recommend a therapist, a healer, or a psychic for you as well. That's the other way that can manifest. Then on the 17th, we're going to see Venus move into the sign of Cancer. So it's in a water sign. Venus is very much associated with relationships, money, partnerships, beauty, and it's the ruler of your 2nd house of values and resources and the ruler of your 9th house of faraway foreign places. So Venus going into your 11th makes me feel like you might be asking a friend if they want to go on a trip with you, asking a friend if they perhaps maybe want to meet someone, or maybe somebody's trying to set you up and they go, I know this person, but they live in another city. Are you interested? That could be another way that kind of materializes. I'm really liking Venus's squares in general to Jupiter because it's really going to magnify things. So maybe friends are incentivizing you to be like, meet somebody, get back out there. Like, I'll introduce you to someone. So there's some sense of them trying to kind of push you or coax you out of your comfort zone. Relationships with friends can be really sweet and harmonious. There can be a lot of getting along and just really enjoying the time that you have with friends and like-minded people. And I have a feeling that there can also be a sense of you just really enjoying your time with them, right? Like good food, good friends, getting along. And I think it can be a wonderful kind of time, especially if it's summertime where you're living, where you can enjoy some like nice parties and some get-togethers and some dinners with people. Then on the 18th, we're going to see that Mercury in the sign of Cancer will come into an opposition with Pluto. So Mercury in your friend house makes an opposition to Pluto. It makes me feel like, have you introduced a certain someone to your friends? Do your friends not like them? Because Pluto is about communication. Is there like a tiff? You know, it's always kind of weird when you're just introducing a romantic partner to your friends and vice versa, and to see if everybody's going to hit it off and if it's going to go well. There can be a sense with Mercury forming the opposition to Pluto that a friend is saying to you, like, yeah, no, I don't know how I feel about this. Or maybe somebody's introduced you to someone and you're like, I don't know if we're quite a fit. There is not a sense of cohesiveness in how you're communicating with a romantic partner. If you have children, you and a romantic partner might be on two different sides of a disagreement when it comes to how to raise children. Somebody you might be dating might say, you know, I really want to have kids, it's really important to me. And somebody's like, yeah, I don't really know, I've got other things going on. Like, I don't know if I can facilitate that right now because of the opposition to Pluto. And they might be saying things to you like, no, I just need to get my career in order. Or that could be you, because Mercury does rule your 10th house. Maybe you're dating, you meet somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm not really looking to do that right now. And what's interesting is that, you know, Mars has been squaring Pluto recently, so I'm wondering if you have felt like more pressure from other people to commit more seriously and go deeper in relationships. There can definitely be friction with people who have kids, so I can see situations where like you're dating somebody, getting to know somebody, and somebody goes, oh yeah, no, I don't know if I can do like the kid thing. And that could be a bit of a deal breaker for you or for them, depending on which way it's kind of going, which could really show you like where somebody else's head's at in regards to you being able to get closer to them in a relationship. Now, the next day, we're also going to see the Sun in Cancer then come into an opposition with Pluto. So it makes me wonder, like, between the 18th and the 19th, is there a conversation that makes you realize, like, not for me. You know, we can't be friends anymore, or we're not on the same page, we don't have the same goals. Like, there's something like that could materialize. So just watch for that to be taking place. On the 19th, Mercury then moves into your 12th house, and it can have you feeling a little anxious. It can have you feeling a little in your head like, oh, did I say something wrong? Did I handle that the right way? Why aren't they calling me? It could be you that's feeling like you want a little bit more time behind the scenes to think things through in regards to anything. You know, when your chart ruler goes into the 12th, you just retreat a little bit. It can be great for reading. It could be great for relaxing. It could be great for like playing games or doing something creative, just to kind of get your mind off of things if that's what you need to kind of rebound from some of the things that were happening earlier in the week. On the 28th of the month, we are going to see that Jupiter is going to go retrograde. Now, Jupiter rules your 4th house of home and family. It also rules your 7th. And I'm wondering if like the events that are taking place in your personal life are a part of this Jupiter retrograde, where you're like, do I need to be moving? Am I in the right place? Do I want to have a family? Like, do I ever want to be with somebody seriously? Like, should I introduce somebody to my family or not? Should I go home? All of these things can be coming up for you. And it's just going through the motions of change and trying to better kind of like shift your life into where you could possibly be sharing it more with another person. So that's one way to look at it. Jupiter going retrograde doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that under the guise of like trying to get loans, trying to pay off school loans out, trying to get out of debt, trying to save money to move, these things can be more challenging. And I'm thinking that with Mercury's trines that are going to be happening here, that maybe you're a little anxious, like, is this going to happen? Am I ever going to be able to complete this? Just give it a little bit of time, take a breather, know that Jupiter dropping back down in the fall to Pisces in your 7th house is going to continue to keep giving you opportunity for relationships. So if you are wanting to move deeper into connection with another person, you can, but you have to be willing to, I think, shift the ways that you actually look at how partnering could actually go, right? Then on the 30th, we're going to see that the North Node and Uranus are coming into conjunction in your 9th house. Uranus rules your 6th house of daily routine, health, and work, coworkers. The North Node is strange and mysterious. We don't know what it's going to give us. It's like a lottery, just kind of spits something out. We just know that it's connected to the future. So when we see North Node and Uranus, it makes me feel like there's an upgrade that's due for us collectively. There's an upgrade for your schedule. There's an upgrade for something you're needing to learn. I think there's new softwares, new technology, new skill sets, and maybe you need to go and take a group course or class or certification. Maybe you want to do something in IT. Maybe you're trying to learn something very specific in regards to health, wellness, fitness, anything in that regard. Higher education is the 9th house, but you might be also trying to arrange these like your schedule to make time for either travel or for continuing education. Maybe it's digital. Now Mars will be here as well, which is interesting. So it makes me feel like there's this thing that you're like, it's going to cost money, but it's going to be good for my career long term. I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm just going to pay for, this series of workshops or this certification, or I'm going to pay to go and learn how to do this specific skill, right? Whatever it is, I think it's a good move. And I think that with these conjunctions happening in what is still positive aspect of Pluto and Virgo, it's practical, it's logical, whatever you're doing, it makes sense that you're doing it because it's going to add more value and more tools to your toolkit. You just might have to go somewhere else for the training. You may decide that you want to up and book a trip and it doesn't really work with your schedule and you're like, I don't care, I gotta go. That could be another way that you could do this. If you're wanting to learn astrology, this is awesome because with Mars and Uranus, because Mars is the god of your 8th house, which is the occult, coming into alignment with Uranus, maybe it's that you're really getting serious about wanting to learn astrology. All right, well, that's going to be an interesting month, Virgo. So you're going to have to let me know how it goes. Let's see what the tarot says for you for the month ahead. Oh, wonderful card. I get the Sun. So it's interesting because the Sun is going through your 12th house the second half of the month. So first it's with friends, then it goes into Leo. And I think that this is really kind of saying like it's time for you to put certain things to rest and really focus on what makes you happy. The Sun can be children, the Sun can be creative projects, the Sun can be about your passions and your desires and your ego, but it's a card that's about good news, right? It's about good things coming. The child riding on the horse suggests that there's a message coming, so it can also be a message of creativity, children, expansion, career stuff, things that really make you feel creative and optimistic and on top. So generally this is a very positive card that is signaling that there are really big things on the horizon for you. I think you're really going to be seeing this even more so right around your birthday. So right now it might feel like you're just focusing on your goals, and then next month is going to be turning inward in preparation for your birthday. But for right now, I would say like focus on having fun, being around people out in the sun, having a good time, socializing. You never know who you'll meet, and you never know what might actually go your way. Hey Libra, how's it going? Welcome to July 2022. I hope you're well. Boy, oh boy, this is a busy month ahead. Let's get into it and see what's going on. The month is going to kick off on the 4th as Mercury enters into the sign of Cancer. So as Mercury leaves your 9th house and goes into the 10th, suddenly the conversation is on work, organization, working behind the scenes, planning, filming, strategizing. Now, Mercury rules your 12th house, which is about behind the scenes, and your 9th house, which deals with higher mind, education, philosophy, belief. Maybe you're changing and transforming the way that you look at your job, and Mercury in Cancer is very nurturing emotionally, so you're trying to kind of get more in touch with that. Speaking softer, creating more space to be able to focus on nurturing that or nurturing responsibilities. It can be about parenting as well. I wonder if some of you guys are strategizing marketing campaigns or things that involve travel or education. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with that transit. Now, we're going to see a ton of planets move through your 10th house, so there's going to be a very active career theme all month long. I know you've been experiencing squares between, your Jupiter transit in the 7th and transits in the 10th, which is really bringing in new relationships very quickly, possibly working with new partners, possibly even being in a situation where you're working with like a spouse or a romantic partner and you're having to collaborate in some way, and that there's a big expansion that's kind of going on there. Now, on the 5th of the month, Mars is going to move from your 7th house into your 8th house in the sign of Taurus. And Mars rules relationships and Mars rules money. So as Mars moves into your 8th house, it's going to slow down because it's going to go into a Taurus sign, into a Venus sign, Taurus. And the 8th house is other people's resources. Sometimes when Mars goes there, it's like us having to pay people back. Sometimes it's about people owing us something. It really depends. If a bill has been overdue, if you have been wanting to pay something off, if you've been wanting to get out of debt, you may be able to do that. Somebody may help you do that. Somebody may help you get along with that process financially. Mars does deal with your money though. That's what's weird about Libra rising, is you're inverted. So there can be a sense of people paying you and you paying things back, right? Trying to get ahead. So there can be just like a lot going on in terms of accounting and having to kind of keep everything organized, especially if you're merging your finances with another person right now, or learning how to do accounting together, opening accounts, maybe paying taxes together. And, Mars is going to finally come out of this square with Pluto. I think that there's been some frustration about like cost of living and resources and power dynamics within the home. So thankfully, come the beginning of July, you're coming out of that square, but it's still going to linger for the first couple of days. Now, when Mars is in Taurus, like I said, things slow down, and eventually Mars is going to come into conjunction with Uranus later in the month. So we'll talk about that in just a second. On the 16th of the month, we're going to see the Sun in Cancer come into a conjunction with Mercury. So this will be a Sun-Mercury cazimi in your 10th, highlighting your 12th house lord, also highlighting your 9th house lord. This is going to be a time to watch on the 16th where there can be some insightful information about your career, what direction you're going on with your career or your responsibility out in the world. It can mean that you have a really prominent dream about your future. It can mean that you have a really prominent dream about seeing a job or getting a job. Maybe you feel like you need to consult with somebody and get a reading about the future of a job or a life situation, and that you need some kind of assistance. Somebody can help you strategize also with marketing behind the scenes. On the 17th of the month, Venus is going to leave Gemini and it's going to go into Cancer. So Venus in your 10th house is nice. When Venus moves signs, that's really important because Venus is the ruler of your chart because you're a Libra sun, moon, or rising. Now, Venus deals with beauty, love, relationships, partnerships, resources, money, all of that stuff. So Venus going into your 10th house means people are going to see you more. There's going to be much more positive, harmonious relationships with people at work, working with women. Venus also rules your 8th house. So there can be a sense of just like making more money, bringing more in, you have more visibility. So if you have products or if you have your own business or you sell something, there can just be a lot more clients and people who are kind of coming into your life more than usual right now. On the 18th of the month, we're going to see Mercury in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto. And this can be intense because Mercury in your 10th house of work challenging Pluto, something about like needing to make some difficult decisions in regards to career versus home dynamics. And being like, okay, I have a lot of stuff going on at work. I got to be really present for work. Like whatever's happening at home or the power struggle at home or with the family, I can't deal with that right now. It can make you really anxious. It can also mean like right in the midst of there being some really important work stuff, there is like a family crisis that crops up. It can mean that, there's something that breaks down at home and you have to be there and spend some money to fix it. It can mean that you're in the midst of just a really strong period at work and then there's a family crisis and you need to go and be at home in some capacity or with family. I have a feeling that this is going to happen. I don't like saying that, but especially because that next day on the 19th, then the sun comes into an opposition with Pluto. So if you're going to get wind of this, it'll be like the 17th, 18th, 19th. Now, the sun opposed Pluto represents like something losing power, releasing or letting it go. If you've been wanting to move out of a home, if you've been wanting to remove yourself from a difficult power struggle with a relative or a parent, if you've been wanting to feel like you can have your own family and start over in some capacity, this can be this realization that's like, okay, I'm free from that pattern. Now I'm being able to do my own thing. It doesn't have control over me anymore. if there's been like a family member dictating money and resources around the house, there's going to be like a breakthrough, and you being like, I'm not going to continue to worry about whether or not you're going to pay the bills or pay for things or pay me back, or if you're going to, cover my cost of living. And you break free from that in some way. Okay. And it's definitely about home, family, those types of dynamics. Could be somebody that you're living with as well. Now on the 19th, then we are going to see Mercury move to the sign of Leo. So lots of chatter, back and forth communication with friends, probably a little bit busy making plans with friends calling you talking to people if you need a little bit of assistance, or if you need someone to kind of lean on in the midst of like that tensity, that tension that can be kind of happening mid-month. So if you need to reach out to somebody, a friend is likely to be there. And especially because Mercury is going to continue to make trines to Jupiter, which is the Lord of your third, it makes me feel like whether you're talking to friends about a relationship or family issue, whether you're talking to a partner about problems with a friend, like any which way I spin it, you have support. It's just like going to be either about issues that you're having with work, family, or relationship. That's what I can definitely see. And Mercury in Leo is very proud. It's going to give you the opportunity to like really let friends tell you what it is that you need to hear if you need some course corrections. On the 28th of the month, we are going to see Jupiter go retrograde, and this will be in your 7th house in Aries. Now, Jupiter has been in Aries for a couple months now. It is going to turn retrograde until the end of October. And in the end of October, it is going to go back into the sign of Pisces. It'll still retrograde. So it'll stay in Aries until the end of October. It'll end its retrograde and come back into Aries at the end of this year. So several months of reflecting on relationships. And to me, it looks like relationship stuff has been picking up very quickly. Some of you guys are suddenly deciding to take on business partners. Some of you guys have met new partners, new relationships, and it's going very quickly. Some of you guys have quickly decided to get married. Part of the transits that are taking place this month is where relationships are expanding, and it's breaking down old emotional habits or old ways of living or old places you used to live, or how you've responded to things emotionally, like what's been ingrained in you of how you respond to stuff, versus also your career. And what's interesting is like you're learning, Libra, to let other people help you, that partnerships can come in to help you uproot the past and feel more secure about your future and be able to nurture what it is that you do want to do with your life, if that makes sense. More on that soon, but we're going to wait a little bit until we start to see the effects of the Jupiter retrograde. I'm probably going to do it right around the time that Jupiter is at 3 degrees again, because that's where the Mars-Jupiter conjunction was, and we're going to see what's going to happen then. And last but not least, we've got the North Node Uranus conjunction that's happening in the 8th house of transformation. It has to do with your connection to other people's money, taxes, transformation, psychological transformation, intimacy, sex, death, inheritance. Libra, you want to be careful because the 8th house can be about reversals. So there can be a situation where, just be careful with money. That's the one thing I would tell you, be careful with money, because Uranus rules your 5th house of gambling and taking chances, and Mars rules your 8th house, your 7th house of partners. And a partner could suddenly say like, loan me some money, let me invest in this, let's do this. And it may not pan out well. It can be a situation where with Mars Uranus coming into conjunction, a partner is saying, hey, I'm willing to take a risk with you. I love you. Let's do something together. Let's invest together. Let's move in together. Let's get married. Let's have a baby. Like there could be something kind of risky there. I think the other thing is just, and I've seen this a lot with North Node Uranus getting close, is a lot of Libra and Libra risings have had unexpected pregnancies. And with Saturn's square that will happen to Uranus and also Mars later into August, it can be suddenly there's repercussions because you were partying and having a good time and you're like, I spent how much at the bar? How did I get pregnant? Like these things can happen. You're also learning that friends and lovers don't always mix, that having open relationships are not always the easiest way to go deeper into partnership, and that there is more of a sense of like relationships evolving very quickly and just lots of changes there. I would say that it's going to be interesting to watch what happens as the sun goes through Leo later in the month and it's squaring this, and it's also squaring your 5th house because it makes me feel like there's major transformations with you and other people, and it's definitely shifting your social life. It's changing the way that you are with friendships. It's changing your goals, right? And yeah, I would just say don't spend or take any chances with money that you're not willing to lose. But at the same time, there can be huge twists of fate where there can be suddenly money and resources that come in, right? That's the other thing. Out of the blue, out of nowhere, where it's just like on a whim where you get a bonus, you get a windfall, you get an inheritance, you win the lottery. Like these things can happen too with some of these squares. So very exciting. You'll have to let me know what happens, Libra. Let's take a look and see what the cards have to say for the month ahead. Oh wow, cards are jumping out of my hands. Okay, so the card that I got was the Knight of Swords. Rushing into action, huh? I mean, like, definitely, like, don't be too hasty is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. Some of you guys might very quickly say yes to something, or you might quickly move, or you might quickly decide to get married or elope. There is this feeling, I feel, of like just profound passion and transformation that are going on in some of your relationships, and getting really thrilled by ideas and thrilled by conversations and thrilled by the possibility of just, you know, finally moving things along. A lot of you guys might have felt like there's been delays in recent years in some of these areas of your life, and now you're ready to initiate change. But Mars-Uranus can also be about suddenly severing or cutting something off. And that's one thing that I would look for as well, that it could be that somebody financially cuts you off. It could be that somebody cuts you off in terms of an intimate relationship. And I feel like with the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, it's like saying like there could be a really intense conversation that you have with somebody, and then it's like, right? So be careful of what you say. Be mindful that if other people tell you definitive things, it might actually be definitive. But on the flip side, you know, the Knight of Swords can be just information coming in very quickly, something that you have to suddenly sign. So look for documents or anything that would require you to kind of put your signature or your name on a piece of paper for something. Sometimes this can also be themes relating to insurance or joint resources or inheritance stuff as well in the 8th house. Okay, so let me know, Libra. I hope it goes very well for you. Hey Scorpio, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to chat with you and see what's going on, so let's get into it. The month is going to start off with Mercury moving into Cancer. Now this is going to be taking place on the 4th of the month. Mercury is going to leave Gemini, 8th house. It's going to move into your natal 9th. Now Mercury deals with your 11th house of friends, goals, and your hopes and dreams for the future. It also deals with the 8th house, which is your partner, joint resources, anything in regards to where you're going. So to me, it looks like there's lots of like talking with another person about your goals pertaining to like the bigger part of your life. 9th house Cancer is like going on a move, going somewhere new, the bigger purpose of what your beliefs are, especially when it comes to things like family. Now, you can be going on a trip back home, visiting family, talking to them about what's changed in your life and what's transforming. There can also be a sense of you doing a lot of like communicating with a partner, perhaps about your financial goals and coming up with a strategy or plan to save money, pay off loans, pay off debts, and be able to make some improvements or some expansion possibly within the home base. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. Change and transformation has been going on because there's been a lot of planets in your 8th house, and you've been learning about how to communicate and talk about things that scare you. And you've also been learning how to kind of clear the decks mentally a little bit and like re-strategize and be willing to go deeper into intimacy with other people, confronting fears. I know the eclipses have been a lot for you guys. I know that it's been bringing up a lot of change in relationships, and some of you guys have grown stronger in relationships by tackling difficult conversations. Other people have called it quits in relationships because they weren't getting enough depth. Other people are finally ready for relationships. So any which way we cut it, just know that this is just going to be a month that's really pushing you into the future when it comes to your life, where you want to be living, how you want to be feeling, and who you want to be sharing life with. These are some hot topics. Now, on the 5th of the month, Mars is going to enter into your 7th house. and this is Taurus. So 7th house is relationships, business partnerships, financial relationships, especially Taurus. So anybody that you share money with, anybody that you work with, anybody that you're in a relationship with, or maybe that you're married to. That's the other way that I could see this. So it's heating up your relationships, okay? Now, Mars rules your 6th house of daily routine and also fitness, wellness, delays as well. And it can deal with health stuff. And Mars is also your chart ruler. So when Mars makes aspects, which there's going to be a lot of this month, you want to pay attention. So Mars going into the 7th means there's lots of action with relationships. There can be good action or bad action. There can be fierceness and arguments and conflict, especially over Taurus things like money, food, resources. Or there can be passion, there can be sex, there can be lots of connection. And I feel like Mars in Taurus is like what feels good, like motivation to work harder, serve, make money, resources, grow together, be passionate about what you're building with another person. Like you want somebody who's just as passionate about life as you are. So that seems to be something that is incredibly, incredibly important. Okay. Besides that, I would say that you're going to feel the shift. Mars in Taurus is a little slow. So there can be a sense of you being like, okay, hurry up, let's go with your partner. You could be trying to get them motivated, or you could be trying to get them to kind of get the show on the road. Lots of action around relationships though. And then on the 16th of the month, we're going to see a Sun Mercury cazimi, and that's going to be in Cancer in your 9th house. Obviously, we know that Mercury rules goals. Mercury also rules insight and intuition. And as they fuse together with the 10th house, there's going to be this really insightful conversation or idea, perhaps, that kind of comes about somewhere around the 16th in regards to business, education, teaching, goals, moves. So that's interesting. It's like something kind of comes together, the bigger piece of the puzzle when it comes to your life's purpose, or it comes to your job, or it comes to planning a trip of sorts. Something like that can be coming up for you as well. On the 17th of the month, we're going to see that Venus is going to move into your natal 9th house. And that is going to be bringing up the theme of like possibly being able to travel with a partner mid-month, going somewhere, you know, catching a flight somewhere, spending time possibly at a home far away, looking at property in a different place. Maybe it's going to be about visiting family in a faraway place. It can have to do with education, putting a little bit more money or attention on education, travel, anything that's connected also like philosophy or like maybe like intuitive development. So some of you guys might want to like take courses or something right around this time with some of those transits that are going on. Then on the 18th of the month, we are going to see Mercury in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto. Now this is important because Pluto is also your chart ruler. It's your modern day ruler. And because Mercury, which is your goals, is going to oppose Pluto in the 3rd, it's almost like how you're communicating and what you really believe in are they're not in accordance with each other. There can be a squabble legally, there can be a squabble with someone while you're traveling, there can be a squabble with a relative, like a sibling. And yeah, I mean, I would just say be careful, you know, you are more prone to having some kind of conflict or strife with somebody because there's a planet in opposition to your ruling planet. It can also be that you're communicating out of fear and you're just reacting rather than really taking time to think about stuff before you communicate. I'm assuming you've been learning with all the squares that have come up in Aries to Pluto that people are trying to push you to evolve, and it's about you learning not to just react or go to worst case scenario or doubt the situation or be pessimistic. So you're going to get challenged a little bit. And, you know, Sun Mercury oppositions can represent spying, looking at things, people being obsessive, trying to get in contact with you or communicating with you and going back and forth with you. And could be a friend with the 11th house. It could also be somebody who is from the internet. That's the other way that I see it. So there could be some like tit for tat going on like social media. So I would say try to avoid that as best you can. The very next day, the Sun in Cancer is then going to come into an opposition with Pluto too. So it seems like you're trying to like work out some like miscommunication and come out on top. And it seems like you don't like the back and forth, and that it might be a little bit too public for your liking, and you're just like wanting to kind of cut a conversation or block or like clear something out that is too public. So be careful what you're saying publicly or on any of those social media platforms. Now on the 19th, we're going to see Mercury move into the sign of Leo, and it's going to go into your 10th house. So it's putting an emphasis on business, business communications, anything in regards to selling, sales, making money through changes and transformation in your career. I'm liking that it's going to make trines to Jupiter, so all your hard work is paying off, and likely the second half of July, you're really going to see some positive kind of turnout in your professional life. People are going to be much more communicative. There's going to be lots of meetings and like positive things that are being had. You have a voice, like people are really going to hear what you have to say. And I think that's the cool thing about that transit. And the fact that it also is going to be Mercury at the top of your chart, square your ascendant and your descendant. So there seems to be a sense of being like, I need to say what I have to say. Give me the spotlight for a second, give me the mic, right? Now on the 28th, we're going to see that Jupiter is going to go retrograde in your 6th house in Aries. So Jupiter for you is the ruler of your 2nd house of money and resources. It also has a connection to Pisces. So as Jupiter retrogrades in your 2nd, you're re-evaluating and kind of going more internal with, what are my beliefs about service? What do I believe about my health? What do I believe about how organized my finances can be? What do I believe about how hard I'm working? Do I feel like I'm making enough in terms of justifying the work that I'm doing, especially if there's been some changes and you're like doing a different type of job now, or you're working underneath somebody else and you feel like you're working for a startup, or you're investing in a new business and it's taking time and energy to build that out before you see the money. Does that mean that money is going to slow down? Not necessarily. It means like you might readjust how much you're working on certain projects. You might readjust your health routine and what you're eating. It means like you're also going to readjust your schedule to create more time for fun, because Jupiter rules your 5th house, or for children, or for romance. And if you've been overworking and if you haven't been making time for those things, then you're gonna reevaluate that. Now it'll stay in Aries until the end of October. Then it'll retrograde into Pisces briefly. It'll go back into your 5th house, which is going to make you realize that it is important to follow your heart. It is important to have fun. It is important for sex and having a good time. And those of you guys who have been wanting to connect and meet somebody, those of you guys who have been wanting to get pregnant or fall in love, these things can still happen. There just might be a sense of needing to readjust your schedule a little bit, so you're not working 24/7, so you can make time for more of like, extracurricular things. And last but not least, we have on the 30th, Mars and Uranus coming into conjunction in Taurus in your 7th house. Scorpio, pay attention, please. Trust me on this. Uranus is the ruler of your 4th house. It does deal with endings. It does deal with sometimes family. It deals with property, real estate. And it's going to come into conjunction with your chart ruler, Mars. But it'll be in your 7th house, which means there can be some kind of conflict with somebody in your home. Family can come in and cause all kinds of strife with a romantic partner, or vice versa. You might take somebody to go and spend time with your family, and there's strife. The thing is that to me, it seems like some crisis or some sudden event or something out of the blue involving another person. Now, it can be how you relate to other people. So Mars Uranus means you could rile somebody up and you could see an explosion out of somebody that you don't want to see, that you didn't see coming, and it can get violent. Mars Uranus also makes me feel like there could be a situation where you tell somebody to get out of your house, or you tell somebody that you're leaving their house. You and a partner can have a lot of strife within your home and your domestic zone. On the flip side, some people who have been overdue for a breakup for a long time can finally cut the cord. Some of you guys who have been wanting to move and a partner's been pushing you to move this last year, and they say either we move and we do this or I'm out. That can happen. It's just, boy, being that Mars is the ruler of your 6th and your ascendant, it makes me feel like maybe you're trying to delay the inevitable and things might happen that are going to be explosive and stuff that you really can't predict, to be honest with you. Similar to Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius, this is happening all in angular houses for you guys, so it's really active. It's going to be probably really explosive. It is the end of July, really from the 30th all the way through the beginning of August. And what's going to happen is when Mars goes deeper into Taurus, it'll start squaring with Saturn, and then it'll start squaring with planets in Leo, and the nodes. So all the fixed signs are going to feel this, but all of this action going on in your relationship somehow changes your emotions, your home, and your feeling, and it changes your responsibility. Partners might have accidents. Tell them to slow down when they're driving. Tell them to take care of their health, not to rush into anything, especially anything that could be like around electricity, anything that could be around rocks, mountains, anything in regards to like earthquakes. Just make sure that they are safe and they are prepared. And when you're dealing with other people, you do not want to be provoking them. Please, Scorpio, please trust me on this. Trust me. Let's see what the cards have to say. So what does Scorpio need to know for the month of July? Working hard. That's good. Working hard, 8 of coins, perfecting something, focusing on the goal, fine-tuning things, being able to become a master of your craft. I could see like Jupiter going retrograde, that being the case. I could also see like being that your 6th house lord is coming into conjunction with Uranus, is like they're, you and a partner are doing something extremely revolutionary and very new and very different, and it's happening very quick and things are speeding up. I get the feeling that this is also just about you being like, I have a plan, I'm sticking to it, I'm going to see it all the way through. I want to make sure that this is going to be as perfect as it can be, and just feeling extremely abundant and very productive for the month ahead. 8s always deal with other people too, other people's resources. So one thing that I would say is that there is a lot of you needing to reflect on your relationships with other people this month. Let me know how it goes. I'm the most curious about Scorpio and Scorpio risings, to be honest with you, because there's going to be sudden twists with relationships where things are going to speed up very quickly, and it can be good as well. It can be that there's like sudden unions that are going on. So let me know.
Hey Sag, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. Let's take a look at what your horoscope says for you. The month is going to kick off with Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer. So it's going to leave your 7th house of relationships. It's going to go into your 8th house, which deals with other people's resources, intimacy, sex, taxes, and a transformation of the mind, right? So the last couple weeks we've had Mercury in your relationship sector. It went retrograde there. Now it's going into the 8th, and there's some profound shifts in relationships and also intimacy. Now, Mercury rules your natal 7th house of partners. It also rules your 10th house of career. So there can be a little bit of like talking to a business partner about scheduling, stuff that's going on at work, what time you're working, how often you're working, that kind of stuff seems to be coming up pretty strongly in this chart. And also like sharing ideas in ways that you can like partner with other people better. Now the 8th house is other people's resources. So you might be drumming up ways of like bringing in more clients, bringing in more people, making changes at work, changes with staff. That's one way that it can kind of materialize. But when Mercury goes into the 8th house, it's going to spend some time there with some other planets. Venus will be there as well. The sun will be there as well. And whenever you're in the 8th house, it's about change and transformation. Now, emotions and family and joint resources are going to be hot topics in the weeks ahead as a result of some of these transits in your 7th house. Going into your 8th house, excuse me. So it's going to be in your 8th house. There's been a lot going on there in relationships and learning how to communicate with people and asking for assistance and kind of sharing ideas. Then on the 5th of the month, we are going to see that Mars is going to leave your 5th house. It's going to go into your 6th house. 6th house is stuff like your pets, your coworkers, your daily routine, your health, your fitness. And there might be a lot of action here going on in regards to starting a new fitness routine, starting a new diet, something different, right? Making a change. It might take a little bit of time for this to play out, for you to see this change. Now, Mars rules your 12th house, which is the lord of the subconscious, stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I could see a lot of stuff going on where like you're focusing on cutting bad habits. You're focusing on getting on a sleep schedule, getting on a dietary schedule, a workout schedule. And Mars is also the ruler of your 5th. So it's like finding more time to do the things that you find pleasurable. So maybe you need to make some tweaks with where you're working, how you're working, who's working for you, and making some updates in your schedule to be able to facilitate more 12th house alone time and 5th house time for romance, creativity, and playtime. So you might be feeling like, oh, I just need a break, I need a vacation. Mars, when it goes into Taurus, it's not the easiest energy because it's in a Venus-ruled sign, so it can be a little stubborn, a little fixated, so there can be some resistance that you're experiencing this month. You want to watch for accidents, health issues, anything in regards to things that could be like cutting, severing, burning. That can happen with some of the conjunctions that are coming down at the end of July, so make sure that you're paying attention and you're all there. I would not advise like surgical procedures or anything like that, although there can be the possibility of you thinking about this coming up later in the month, but we'll get to that in a second. Then on the 16th of the month, the Sun in Cancer is going to come into a cazimi, so this will be a conjunction with the Sun. Now, we talked about how Mercury rules your 7th, how it also rules your 10th, and it makes me feel like there's like an epiphany. You have found a solution to a financial issue, you found a solution to a problem in a relationship or a financial issue at work. Maybe you've adjusted a budget and found there is room for a bonus, that you can afford to pay yourself more, or that you work up the guts to asking for a raise. If you've been having issues in a relationship and who's in charge in a relationship, or dealing with issues revolving around authority in a relationship, you could have a breakthrough because it's in your 8th house. There's some kind of breakthrough in intimacy and vulnerability that's going to be happening. The Sun-Mercury conjunction, it is a positive conjunction, and I feel like it's this realization that change and transformation is uncomfortable, but it's necessary in order to get to the next phase of our life. So you're going to have some realization about life and death, beginnings and endings, and it's going to get you thinking a lot about, what am I creating in my own personal private life? What am I nurturing? Then on the 17th, we're going to have Venus move into your 8th house as well. So she's going to leave your 7th. She's going to go into your 8th. Venus in the 8th can be very transformative in terms of like intimacy, sex, and relationships. Venus is the ruler of your 6th and also the ruler of your 11th. And being that it's going into your 8th house, I think that there's just some transformations of your schedule, and there's some adjustments that you're having to make. So you might have to tell some friends that you're not available. You might have to tell some friends that you're just drowning in work and that you're kind of stressed out with some stuff that's going on, and you're trying to make sense of some changes in health, pets, or routine. Seen a lot of Sag risings that have had pets that have had crises recently, or problems with their schedule, health problems that they're trying to overcome. And you have a goal. Like, to me, it's clear that there's a goal in mind that you're trying to achieve. But as Venus goes into the 8th house, I think it's more about emotional vulnerability and being able to connect to other people. Venus in the 8th can be great for bringing in bonuses and extra income as well. So that's going to be well welcomed as Venus goes through your 8th house. Can be kind of intense too, because there's a transformation of sexual relationships, intimate and financial relationships, and really having to kind of come to terms with some things later in the month. We'll talk about that in a second. On the 18th, we're then going to see Mercury in your 8th house coming into an opposition with Pluto. So Mercury's other people, it's work. Maybe people are going to be coming to work for you, or maybe you're going to be hiring somebody to go through your accounting, to handle your finances, your taxes. They're having to kind of go through things, or maybe people are asking questions about, what will I get paid? What are the benefits going to be? What is my share? What is my cut? And I could see you being really direct with being like, this is what it is, or this is my bottom line, or this is what I can afford, or this is what I'm willing to pay you. That Mercury opposition makes me feel like a partner can be asking you some questions about your insecurities or your fear revolving around your self-esteem or even your resources. So a partner can be saying, what's wrong? Why are you worried? Why don't you think you're going to get the promotion? Why are you feeling like you're never going to get out of debt? And they can be trying to ask you about where the fear is coming from in regards to financial insecurity. And you might feel a little poked and prodded. I think also the next day, when the Sun in Cancer then comes into an opposition with Pluto, it's also bringing up this theme of like You know, do I believe I can overcome this crisis? Do I believe I can overcome this insecurity within myself? Pluto in the second house is going to be all these subconscious insecurities about security, your body, your self-esteem, your talents, your resources. And so you're realizing that a lot of these things that are coming up right now are things that you don't talk about or things that you don't share with people that can actually make you hide or make you kind of fall away or feel like you need to take time to yourself. And it's going to be difficult because there can be flaws and things that are coming up that you're seeing that other people aren't seeing. People are seeing you have everything together, but in the background you're like, actually, this is something that I'm really struggling with. So you're trying to overcome that. On the 19th, Mercury moves into your 9th house, and it's going to move into Leo, which is a fellow fire sign. I'm liking that this is great for like planning a trip with a partner. This is wonderful for writing, learning, planning a faraway distance trip later in the year. It's going to come into a trine with Jupiter at some point, and so that's your chart ruler. So a partner might say, we need to get out of town. You know, let's take a short vacation. Let's book some flights. Let's go somewhere. Let's do some things so that way you can kind of relax a little bit. Taking courses and workshops and things relating to hobbies or things that make you feel creative and inspired can be wonderful as well. You could be teaching these as well as taking them. Then on the 28th of the month, we are going to see that your chart ruler, Jupiter, is going to go retrograde. Now, this basically means that your chart ruler is turning inward. There is a sense of reflection. It's in a fellow fire sign and it's in your 5th house. So if you have been wanting to find love, if you've been wanting to start a new hobby, launch something, if you want to reflect on your relationship with children, your belief about your childhood, your belief about your heart, this is the time to do it. You're ruled by Jupiter, so you're going to feel this retrograde, and I'm assuming that somewhere around the time after the 19th when Leo is in the 9th, and it trines Jupiter, that part of the retrograde is you going, am I making time for fun? Am I making time to do the things that I want to do? Am I connecting with my children? Am I learning? Am I growing? Am I expanding? And if you're getting totally bogged down and swamped with either work crisis, health crisis, pet crisis, something in regards to changes in your schedule, having a little fun might be what the doctor has ordered for you. Just because Jupiter goes retrograde doesn't mean that the fun stops or the good luck, or the lucky streak stops. It just means that you're reflecting on what you have accomplished thus far. Now, Jupiter will be in a fellow fire sign of Aries until the end of October, and then it will go into Pisces briefly before returning to Aries around the holidays at the end of December, and it'll be there for a period of time. So you got some time that it's going to hang out there. I'm really curious to see what happens in Leo season because I do get a good feeling about some positive innovation in just how you're feeling about yourself and having more fun and traveling more and learning more. And if you have children, spending time with your children. If you don't, some of you might be thinking about it with Jupiter going retrograde in your 5th, or getting back into the swing of dating or a creative project that makes you feel fulfilled. Okay. And then last but not least, we have got the North Node and Uranus that are going to be meeting in your 6th house with Mars. Now, this is going to be happening from the 30th of July all the way through the first week of August, so you're going to start feeling it the later that we get into the month. Now, the 6th house deals with, like I said, pets, health, wellness, daily routine. It could be accidents. It could be delays. Uranus rules the 3rd house, okay? And Mars represents cutting, purging, and things you don't see coming. A sibling could have a health crisis. It could be that they're like dealing with something where they need to go into some kind of treatment and you're having to scramble because something that's going on with your schedule and trying to readjust your schedule to be there, or finding someone to watch your house or water your plants or take care of your dog. It could be that a pet is having a health crisis and you're needing to get somewhere and rearrange your schedule so a vet can actually see an animal if necessary. If you're getting really rambunctious about starting a new routine, a new fitness routine or diet, please be careful because the Mars-Uranus conjunction makes me feel like you could break something, you could trip over like a dumbbell, you could be too excited about a dance routine and sprain your ankle, break your wrist, something like that. When you are driving, when you are running around doing errands, because that's your 6th house, when we see the Mars-Uranus conjunction and then the square, just plan on, you shouldn't be texting and driving anyway, but Don't be on your phone texting while you're driving. Be careful while you're driving because of the squares that you'll see to Saturn next month. When Mars starts coming into the square with Saturn, you're going to see also that there can be some delays because of car problems or because of issues with technology. Cars not turning on, computers not working, emails not going through. That kind of stuff can happen. Electrical issues with vehicles. And yeah, there could be like a power outage at work and you're like, I don't have time for this. I have so much stuff I have to get done. And like, how do I get this project out? That kind of stuff can happen as well. But I'm thinking that with the North Node Uranus, it's about seeking freedom in your schedule. So some of you guys are wanting to find ways to like start a business. You're wanting to find ways to work more independently for yourself because Uranus rules your third. Maybe you're implementing new softwares or new technology into your workspace. So that way you are making the most of your time in your schedule. Those of you guys who don't already have a digital schedule, you should have one. That way you're avoiding some of the conflicts that are going to be coming in the next month or so. All right, so let's see what the cards say for you, Sag, for the month ahead for July. Wow, goodness, this is good. Wheel of Fortune. Positive things shifting for you, things shifting for better. This talks about Jupiter. It talks about expansion. This is also talking about possible opportunities for travel. This can be like worldly things that you do. The wheel can also be saying like fortune, really coming for you, like being in a situation where finally you're feeling like you can actually start seeing things come together in a positive sense. Feeling like fate and fortune is on your side and things are shifting. This is going to be pretty big for you, I think, in the month of either August or November, because this is talking about the fixed months. And just like an upward swing of things that are coming that's positive. So look to what's happening where your 5th house Aries and your 9th house Leo transits are happening to kind of build momentum in positivity moving forward. Hey Capricorn, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're well. Let's get into it and take a look at what your horoscope says for the month ahead. Well, it starts off with on the 4th, Mercury moves into the sign of Cancer. So it's leaving your 6th house. It's going into your 7th. Mercury is the ruler of your 9th, which is about education, travel, philosophy, and your 6th, which is about health, wellness, scheduling, your daily routine, pets. So we're seeing that it's moving into your 7th house. So to me, it looks like maybe you're trying to arrange changes in your schedule. Maybe you're trying to like align your schedule with a partner so you can have more time with a partner. Maybe you're talking to them about travel, making plans to buy airfare, trips, going places. Maybe you're trying to talk to them about making changes in their schedule so you can have more time together. Virgo is the ruler of your 9th and it's ruled by Mercury. So I have a feeling it's about like organizing things. Even if it's not right now, it's going to be down the road. And when Mercury moves into your 7th house, there's a lot of communicating and talking to other people. So having to have one-on-one meetings, conversations, phone calls. People are reaching out to you and they're communicating with you more. It can be that you're talking to family about finding time in your schedule to come and visit them or for them to come and visit you. Now, your 7th house is about relationships. So I think that you're going to be... it's beneficial for you to hear what other people have to say. There is a need for you to engage with them and go back and forth with them. And kind of talk a little bit more about how they're feeling, because Cancer is always about feelings. Then on the 5th of this month, we're going to see Mars move into your 5th house, and it's going to go into the sign of Taurus. Now, Mars rules your friends and your associations and your goals. Mars also rules your 4th house of your home. So I'm wondering, are you having friends over? Are you wanting to throw a party? Is there going to be like a kid's birthday party, a baby shower, an engagement party? Something like that can be happening where you're celebrating with other people. It can also be that there is a goal to bring a younger person or a baby or a child into the house. Maybe you're setting up or wanting to set up a home that could facilitate having a child. Maybe one of your kids is coming to visit you. Now, if it's not any of these circumstances, it could be that you're just feeling more inclined to take risks, have fun, be playful, be participating in art. Especially Mars in the 5th is like gambling, games, dating, feeling like very passionate, right? And this is also in a fellow Earth sign. So the fact that it's going to be making positive aspects to either your ascendant or your planets in Capricorn makes me feel like it's like easing your way into a new creative project, easing your way into dating, but you may be caught off guard by how quickly someone or something kind of falls into your life this month if you are single. Now, Mars in the 5th house, especially in a feminine sign, is very fertile. So those of you guys who are hoping to conceive, wanting to conceive, those of you guys who are looking for new romantic partners, you're wanting to find someone, they can show up quite quickly. Now on the 16th, we're going to see a Sun, Mercury, Cazimi, and this is going to be happening in your 7th house in the sign of Cancer. Now, this is aligning your 6th and also your 9th house lord with the Sun, which is the ruler of your 8th. So it tells me that you're having a conversation that's truly deeply intimate with another person, and you're sharing some insights with them, or maybe they're sharing some insights with you about what they hope their life could be, what they hope their schedule could be. Maybe they're talking to you about health or wellness or anything in regards to getting healthier, and you're really sharing with them what you're working on in terms of having like a healthier mindset, right? Because you have Gemini in the 6th. Look for insightful conversations with partners this day. They might let you in on something or kind of tell you something that you weren't aware of. But the Sun Cazimi is generally pretty positive, and it's usually sprinkled with all kinds of insightful information from Mercury. Now on the 17th, we're then going to see also Venus move into your 7th house. So you've got Sun, Mercury, Venus in the 7th. Lots of emphasis on relationships, lots of emphasis on how other people are feeling, where they're living, their emotions. And there's just a lot going on with another person. Maybe they need your support more. Maybe you need their support more. Maybe there's more emphasis in talking about like living together or your home together because of all these squares to the 4th house Jupiter. But Venus in the 7th is nice. It can attract new partners. It can be really smooth and really sensual and emotional and connected for people who are already partnered. Now, in your case, the 10th house is the ruler of that sign is ruled by Venus, as is the 5th. So I'm wondering, are you talking to a partner about feeling like you want to get married, that you want to be in love, that you want to have a baby? I know that sounds weird, but there's this feeling of like wanting to level up and feel like you're creating a life with someone. And it's very strong and it's coming very quickly. Now, if you are partnered, it's wanting to talk to your partner about what you guys are doing together to kind of further develop your relationship. Now on the 18th, we're going to see that Mercury is going to make an opposition to Pluto. So you've got then Mercury coming into an opposition with Pluto in your sign. And Pluto in your 1st house is intense. It does deal with like power. It does deal with transformation. You've had Pluto there for quite some time now. You've been going through lots of transformations. And I think perhaps maybe a partner suggests something to you that you're threatened by. Don't be threatened by it. Mercury is basically saying like, could we tweak this? Could we fix this? They might be giving you like some constructive criticism. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. And it's all about what you do with it. You want to be careful with like not hitting back if somebody tries to share how they're feeling with you, and try to talk to you about something that they're very sensitive about. It's important that you're careful with your communication and you're careful with your tongue, because there can be some sharpness. Mentally poking, prodding, asking too many questions, invading space or privacy can come up as well. Somebody can be really like asking you lots of questions about what you want, what you need, what your goals are, but it can feel really overwhelming is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. That next day, then the Sun in Cancer is going to make an opposition to Pluto as well. So it is bringing this whole like, what can we change? What can we transform? And to me, it seems like you can go deeper into relationship by talking about like what scares you and what you're afraid of, and like actually overcome some of those fears so you can move on to the next phase and grow closer to another person. Now, it could be a parent because Cancer is like the mother. It could be a business partner. It could be someone you live with. But this is kind of like relationship-y between the 1st, 4th, and 7th house that's getting kind of activated. On the 19th, Mercury moves into your 8th house. And that's where the mind is transforming and changing. There's something shifting in regards to resources. There's something shifting in regards to how you communicate what you need, what your needs are. You might get quite overwhelmed with a schedule change. There might be a sense of you needing to be flexible with your schedule. But, you know, as Mercury goes into the 8th house and it trines Jupiter in the 4th, it makes me feel like you have somebody who's supportive of helping you usher in this change. You have a partner, you have a family member, you have somebody who you're living with, somebody who's going to help you go through that transformation and feel supported. And yeah, I like the Mercury trine Jupiter for everybody this month. I think it's going to be a nice little sigh of relief knowing that we have support wherever Aries is in our chart. And then we have on the 28th, Jupiter is then going to go retrograde. And this is in your 4th house, reevaluating home expansion, reevaluating your emotions, your family, where you're living, your past. Now, Jupiter is the ruler of your 12th house. So to me, it seems like you're letting go of how things used to be, where you used to live, how you used to be with your family, old emotional patterns that you've had. Maybe you have felt like you've always had to do things by yourself. Some people who have family members overseas may have to return to go and visit family, or they might need to be traveling and going back home. Even if it's not overseas, usually it's a pretty long stretch because Jupiter is far distant. So being that Jupiter rules the 12th, I'm wondering, like, are you having dreams about the past? Are you reflecting on your childhood? Are you thinking about moving back to where you used to live? Is there something really sentimental that's coming up for you? There can be lots of profound changes in the month of July because you're going to have trines from your 4th to your 8th to your 12th, and these are terminal houses. So we see endings, changes, transformations happen in these houses. Sometimes, you know, somebody transitions and they leave our life. Sometimes we let go of a partnership. Sometimes we move to a new home. But in the action of fire, it's like change comes very quickly, and it can be difficult to adjust to these changes because they come so fast and you don't know how to respond to it emotionally. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. So just keep in mind that August is going to be a month where you have a lot of support, and it's important to be present with that support. Look for family and partners and people who can say, hey, I'm willing to go through this life change with you. I've got your back, whether it's letting go of somebody really important, or if it's ending a relationship, or if it's bringing a child in the world. There's something about this that makes me feel like you're going to have some support and you can grow closer to people in your life by being vulnerable. And last but not least, we're going to have the Mars North Node and Uranus conjunction that's taking place around the 30th. So the North Node Uranus conjunction starts on the 30th of July. It's going to go the whole first week of August, and Mars will be a part of the conjunction in the first week of August. So you've got something changing with your home when it comes to your 5th house, which is like love or children, and also something with resources. So many people are like, we're moving in together, we're building a life together, we're saving money together, we're in love. Some people are, oh my gosh, we need to focus more on putting our resources together because we're going to have a kid, or that's a goal. For those of you guys who aren't focused on relationships or partnerships, it can be that there's this emphasis in being like, I want to make my own money. I want to be independent. I want to make money with my creative endeavors. I want to be able to take chances when it comes to my money and my resources. Be careful with gambling. Be careful with investing, because this is happening in the 5th house, which can be more speculative. So if family says like, okay, give me some money, I'm going to put it into a stock and let's see what happens, or like, you know, you don't want to bet the house with a transit like this on something, because it could be big risk, big reward, but I'm really feeling like it's going to be more big risk. And a lot of this is because once we have that full moon that's going to come down the road, it's going to be in Aquarius. It'll oppose Saturn square the 5th. So it'll be like, okay, you know, then the tax bill comes, or then you realize it didn't pay off as well. So be very careful with money and resources and investments and exchanges of any kind. You and Libra need to be more careful with that stuff this month, okay? So let's see what the cards say for you for the month ahead. Two of Coins. It's literally what I was saying. I was like, I could see that something comes in, and then they're like, oh my gosh, now I gotta pay something. Finding balance in money and resources and kind of feeling like you're being pulled in two different directions. It's like, do I do this or do I do that? The truth is that the next month there's going to be a lot that's going to come up about where your money needs to go. There could be a big payment that's due. There could be a lot of money going out. There could be a big investment that needs to be made. And I'm saying this because there's going to be that full moon in Aquarius that's going to be, coming at some point. That'll be closer to the beginning of August. But be careful with your resources, right? You're feeling a little stretched. There's a little bit of back and forth. Maybe you're weighing something out. Do I want to invest in something? Do I not? Do I do it now? Do I not? Take time. It might take 2 weeks for you to really think this through. And if you're feeling really overwhelmed and like you're juggling too many things at once, talk to people and ask for help and ask for assistance so you're not feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you need to do everything on your own, because you're not meant to be experiencing a lot of these things on your own, okay? Good luck. Hey Aquarius, how's it going? Welcome to July of 2022. I hope you're well. I'm excited to talk to you about the month ahead. Let's see what your horoscope has in store. All right, so taking a look at this, the month kicks off on the 4th of July as Mercury moves into Cancer, so it's going to be moving into your 6th house. So Mercury is the ruler of your 8th house of joint resources and also your 5th house of children. We see taxes, stuff that's owed, things like that come from your 8th house. The 5th can be children, creative projects, hobbies, taking chances, risks, gambling, anything in regards to like having fun. So being that Mercury is moving into your 6th, I think it's like, well, can I continue to keep making time for this? Do I have the space for this? How much money am I spending on having a kid, having fun, my kids going to sports, on hobbies, things like that. So there can be a sense of you like evaluating that. I like Mercury in the 6th. It's a wonderful time to kind of get your house organized and to declutter things or put labels on things and get things kind of put in their place. Specifically, Cancer would be like the kitchen. Maybe I would say you could do some stuff also with design of any kind. Yeah, to the kitchen, because we see sextiles to Taurus. So kitchen and not so much bedrooms yet. Maybe that'll come later this year. Okay, then we have on the 5th, Mars is going to move into Taurus. So you have Mars moving into your 4th house. Now, Mars rules your 10th house of career and responsibility. It also rules your 3rd house of siblings and movement and communication. I get the impression that you can be really kind of snippy and short with family. When Mars goes in the 4th house in general, there's just like a lot going on with home and family. Sometimes it's great to have a to-do list on hand so you can work on some things that you need to get done. So if you know that you need to go and trim the garden, if you need to go and mow the lawn, I say this because it's Taurus. So it's like taking the initiative to go and do the gardening, to go and do the landscaping, taking the initiative to go and organize and move around furniture, to beautify your home. Mars in Taurus likes to do that, wants to take its time when it's in the 4th. If we don't have things to do while this is in the 4th house, like if we're not looking to move, if we're not looking for property, if we're not taking the initiative, then we start getting confrontational. And because it rules your 3rd house, I think that you could get kind of short with people you live with roommates, with aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, and there can be some like just like friction and some bossiness that can kind of come up. So watch for that. But when Mars is in the 4th, if you're looking to move, if you're looking to buy property, if you're looking to change things up in your space, it's wonderful. You can do that, especially if you're looking to find your own place. I know there's this real strong streak right now for you of needing independence. You're going to see a lot of this in the next month. That's not going to end. So if you feel like you're at your wit's end with the living situation, hold on, because it might get a little bit more intense. All right. This can also be moving a parent or being present in a parent's home or feeling like you need to move things around for a parent. That could be the case as well. And you're communicating with other people about how you can facilitate getting that done. Then on the 16th, we're going to see a Sun-Mercury cazimi. So Mercury will already be in the sign of Cancer. It'll conjunct with the Sun, aligning, once again, your 5th and also your 8th house Lord in the 6th. So there's this conversation possibly with lovers, possibly with kids, possibly with partners, about what it is that you're trying to facilitate doing. And maybe you have an epiphany and an idea of the perfect way to approach a situation with your child, the perfect way to communicate and approach a romantic partner. Maybe it's somebody who comes in that can help you fix or remedy or heal a situation, especially because the sun rules your 7th house of relationships. So if you need help with any of these things, like if you need a housekeeper, if you need a fitness instructor, if you need a therapist, like somebody might appear that can help you heal stuff, especially if it's domestic issues or issues emotionally, because it's in the sign of Cancer. I love Kazimis because it always brings some like cosmic like little conversation that's like really helpful. So be communicative and open that you're looking for some kind of help and some kind of assistance, okay? On the 17th, we're going to see then Venus moves into your 6th house as well, and Venus is the lord of your 9th and the lord of your 4th. So Venus moving into the 6th, organizing your house, organizing your home, cleaning house, clearing house. It doesn't have to be things, it can be people, y'all. So if there's people that got to go, if you're telling people they got to get out of your rental unit, if you're telling people that they need to finish up their lease, if you've got issues with roommates, if you're trying to clean up a house and get a house ready for sale, these are all things that can happen, and I feel like there can be somebody who can help stage a home, or there could be somebody who could come in and help list a home or sell a home because of that connection to the 9th house. But I'm loving when Venus comes into sextiles with the 4th, and like there's this preparation of like making home changes or getting things in order there. Venus in Cancer is like really homey and lovey and very sweet, so this can also be a sweet time with like with pets, because the 6th house is pets, or maybe like you're wanting to invite friends that are coworkers over for dinner. That could be something else that you could do. Probably really loving cooking, really loving cleaning, really loving time that you're also going to be having in the gym. That might be something that you really are enjoying, or maybe you're trying to organize a space so you can be working out closer to home. On the 18th, you're going to see Mercury come into an opposition with Pluto. So Mercury is here and it opposes Pluto, and if you have kids, that can be a day where there's some power struggles with them. I also get the impression that there can be some like anxiety revolving around romantic connections, romantic partners, and whether or not you guys are on the same page. That's one way that that can play out. But Mercury rules your 8th house of other people's resources. Pluto rules a career. If you've been hoping to get a raise, or to get a bonus, or to get a change in status or title, this can be a day where you get some not so great news. Part of the reason why is because Pluto rules your 10th. It's connected to your South Node. As Mercury comes into the opposition, you find out somebody goes, yeah, it just isn't in the budget this year, or actually we can't pay you quite yet, or you didn't get the loan. So there can be some difficult conversations in regards to whether or not other people are willing to release resources to you. Now, that next day, on the 19th, we're also going to see then the sun come into an opposition with Pluto. So somehow like a person at work maybe, or a relationship at work is challenging your authority. Maybe you and a partner are having a little bit of like a standoff, and they're just basically saying, I need some space, you know, you're being too intense, or you're too worrisome. And so there does need to be a little bit of like a cooling off that can be happening. And if that happens, really take the cooling off period, okay? Because as we get to later in the month, you're going to start seeing planets coming into Taurus, conjuncting the North Node in Uranus, and it's going to square Saturn in the 7th. And if there's too much chaos in the home, if you have like a blended family where you have stepkids and stuff like that, and if you've got a partner, they can get overwhelmed with your family, or vice versa. So that Uranus in the 4th makes me feel like if there's too many people coming in and out, it could be rubbing a relationship the wrong way, and you don't want to be feeling like you have to choose between what your needs are and your family and a relationship, because a partner is definitely going to give you a bit of an ultimatum if you're not careful. On the 19th, Mercury moves into Leo, so it moves into your 7th house, and suddenly communication with other people is so important. If you need to hash things out with romantic partners, children, lovers, any of those people, right? Now is the time to do it. Maybe it's you talking to your kids about their relationship with their children. Maybe it's you talking to a partner about how you feel as to whether or not you want children. Maybe you have it out with one of your own kids. Seventh house is not all it's cracked up to be. This can definitely be some themes that are going to come up the next month. That is you going back and forth with either a partner or a family member about the other, and some challenges and changes and shocks that are going to be happening possibly at home that are kind of coming out of left field. On the 28th, on the 28th, Jupiter is going to go retrograde, and it's going to be going retrograde in Aries in your third house. So Jupiter is the ruler of your house of friendships. Jupiter is also the ruler of your house of money. And as it's getting ready to turn retrograde, a friend might be coming to you for financial advice. You might be kind of strategizing some financial moves with a group of people or with a friend in general. Your goals revolving around how you think about money and resources are changing. Maybe you're re-strategizing a move because it's in the third house. So you might be thinking about where you're going next. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it doesn't mean that it's not good. It just means that it's kind of losing the forward momentum. So maybe you're not moving yet, but you might in the new year. Maybe you're writing and you're thinking about writing more, but you're not ready to share it with people or to publish. Can finances slow down? They can, but I think it's about reevaluating what you've done thus far this year and then deciding how you want to use those resources. And you might just notice that things kind of they don't slow down, but they are not as inflated as maybe they have been in recent months because you've had Jupiter go through Pisces and then into Aries. So it's going to come back into Pisces in the fall, somewhere around the end of October, beginning of November. You'll see a nice little kind of rise in income and resources probably again. And then you're going to see it go back into Aries around the end of the year in the holidays. So watch for any intuition that you get in regards to automatic writing, channeling things. There might be a sense of you getting a really prominent phone call or email or message from someone with this retrograde. Maybe friends who have been traveling come back, and then you can kind of see them more often. And you are also possibly, I could see thinking about making decisions either like with a move or with a vehicle. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. And then last but not least, the big news is that Mars, the North Node, and Uranus are getting ready to align at the end of July, going into early August in Taurus. So it's in your fourth house. So Uranus rules your ascendant, right? It's about being a revolutionary person. You're different. You're independent. You march to the beat of your own drum. Over this last year, you've seen Saturn square off with Uranus, which means you have felt like you need to kind of break out of old job professions. You need to possibly uproot your life and move out of a place, move in with someone, move somewhere new, have your own space. And it's been in a square with Saturn. So hear me out on this, okay? A lot of you guys may be presented with a sudden change or transformation in your home life. It might mean that somebody suddenly moves in, suddenly moves out. It might mean that you get wind that your house is being put up for sale and you can't rent it anymore. It might mean that you finally decide that you want to move out of a situation and quit your job and leave a relationship. Whatever it is intense, and you're going to be feeling like you're pulled from all different angles, really from the end of July all the way through mid-August. And I just want you to breathe, okay? Just breathe. Know that that Mars North Node conjunction is really saying, where are you taking initiative? Where are you the boss of what's going on in the home? Where do you need to be more assertive? And if you need to cut ties with a family member, so be it. If you need to sell your house and move, so be it. But it's about you feeling like you have more freedom. Be careful, because there can be eruptions and conflict and all kinds of things going on with your home and your family, and things can suddenly be shifting. When it aligns with the North Node, it is talking a lot about some revolution that's going on either in your home, your family, your emotions, where you've been living for some time. And watch for power outages, okay? Power outages, internet problems, cars that can be combustible. Don't be running your car knowing that it needs an oil change, okay? Don't be running air conditioners, computers. Don't be overblowing sockets, things like that, because there can be fires, all right? I know that sounds crazy, but just trust me on this. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say for you, Aquarius, for the month ahead. So you are prepared. All the fixed signs are feeling it. All of them. Taurus and Scorpio and Leo. Oh my. I get the moon. So I think this is saying really, I mean, it's come on, it's the beginning of Cancer season. So your 6th house, right? How are you feeling? Like, how do you feel in your day-to-day? Like, do you feel like your house is organized? Do you feel mentally, emotionally well? Are you eating well? Are you taking care of yourself and giving yourself adequate sleep? Are you doing the nurturing and running around and taking care of everybody else to the point where you're just like, right? The conjunction's also happening in your 4th house, which is like a very Cancerian energy. So it's like, I have seen a lot of Aquarius risings that really want to like go and buy land so that way they can feel like they can build and they can have all of their family there with them. I've seen a lot of Aquarius risings that are like, I want to pick up and move and never talk to these people again, or I want to move to a completely new place and start over. Following your intuition, be mindful that there are events and things that are coming that you don't see coming. Likely it's going to happen around the lunar events. So we're going to have like a full moon sometime around the 13th of July, and then 2 weeks later, then we're going to have at the end of July, going in the beginning of August, that full moon in Aquarius, and that one is conjunct Saturn, which means you're going to have to make a difficult decision. You're going to have to rip off a band-aid. You're going to have to really say, you know what, this is scary, but I got to do this. I don't think I ever thought I could live alone, or I don't think I could ever move out of my hometown, or I didn't think I'd ever leave my partner and divorce them and sell my house, but so be it. And there's emotional things that you're going to have to kind of deal with and move through that you don't see coming. So pay attention to your emotions, pay attention to your dreams. Hey Pisces, welcome to July 2022. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to talk to you about the month ahead. Let's take a look at your horoscope. So the month kicks off on the 4th when we see Mercury move into the sign of Cancer. So it's going to be moving from your 4th house to your 5th house. Now, Mercury rules your 7th house of relationships. Mercury also rules your 4th house of home. So to see Mercury move into the 5th house, there's lots of communication with family, loved ones, in regards to relationship talks and also family. So Cancer is about nurturing, parenting, and anything in relation to like maternal energies or home energies. And I'm wondering if there's like a sense of you wanting to talk about moving in with a significant other and wanting to progress your romantic life forward. It can be that you're wanting to find partners to help nurture you and like work on creative projects. It's possible that you're really wanting to focus on a relationship with a parent. Maybe you're spending a lot more time around a mother or a father figure and really wanting to breathe life into creative projects in general. 5th house is for taking chances, romance, sex, gambling, having fun, but you might be doing this somewhere closer to your home in general. Now, this is also in a fellow water sign, so it's going to make positive aspects to your ascendant, and water is always emotional, so you're going to be feeling more emotional than usual throughout these transits. Then on the 5th, we're going to see Mars is going to move from Aries in your 2nd house, where you've been spending money like crazy, focusing on trying to generate more income, really working on developing your talents, especially in advertising, sales, education. And what this is going to do is it's going to move into your 3rd house. So it's going to have like this uptick when it's in Taurus of anything in regards to online, teaching, educating, short distance trips. You might be going on road trips. You might be writing more, all kinds of things. Now, the reason why is that the 2nd house is resources and the 9th house deals with education and travel. So long trips. Possibly you're going to be teaching a course online, or maybe you're going to be making money through writing something. Do you write music? Do you write poetry? Do you write code? Do you develop websites? Like, what are you doing? Somehow you could be making money in these regards. The 3rd house is going to have you a little bit more aggressive with your communication, so you want to watch for that. And usually Taurus isn't very aggressive, but as the month goes on, you're going to be finding that you're feeling like a little bit more intense in terms of communicating with other people, and you can be a little bit more short-tempered, okay? On the 16th, we're going to see that there is going to be a Sun-Mercury cazimi, and this is going to be aligning your 6th house lord and also your home lord with the sun. Pisces, I have a feeling that you may possibly meet or connect to a romantic partner. I have a feeling that This could bring somebody in from the past, because Mercury rules the past and it rules relationships, especially if you've been in a relationship with a Virgo or a Gemini. And they may reach back out to you and they might try to talk to you about the fact that they're going through a crisis, or that they're going through a health issue, or maybe just wanting to see if they can reconcile. Maybe they're dealing with some addiction issues. That's the other way that I look at it. Sun Mercury is not a bad transit. It is basically just highlighting some information or a conversation. Could be a text message, could be an email, could be that somebody reaches out to you and says, I'm still in love with you. I want to make this work, or I never forgot about you, or will you give me a second chance? So look for something like that. That can happen. Those of you guys who are hoping to hear an I love you or say an I love you, this could happen around this time. And there can be insight coming in from your partner about their feelings, or ex-partners as well. That's the other way that I could see this. But the 5th house, it would be like really serious conversations that you're having with people about what you love and what you need within your home or within your heart space in general. On the 17th, then Venus is going to move into your 5th house, and Venus is all about love, relationships. It's all about harmony and being able to relate to others. It rules your 8th house of other people and your 3rd house of communication. So I feel like Venus going into this house is like people telling you how they feel and wanting to share with you like how they're feeling. You could be getting positive feedback on creative projects as well. There can be a sense of gaining more in terms of projects that you're working on, especially if you're involved in Cancer-related things, property, real estate, anything in regards to creative stuff that involves younger people, children, stuff like that. But yeah, Venus, the Sun, Mercury all being in your 5th, all trining your ascendant with a square to the 2nd. I love the square from the 2nd house to the 5th. And I say square because all these planets are squaring off with Jupiter. Big feelings, big investments, big chances, big opportunities. And this is all about finding love, finding creativity, and taking chances. And even if it doesn't make sense, you might be putting your heart or your resources into something and be feeling like this is it. This is it. I got to do this. On the 18th, we're going to see the Sun come into... we're going to see Mercury come into an opposition with Pluto. And it makes me feel like there could be a situation where you're considering taking somebody from the past back, or you're talking to somebody romantically, or you're partnering with somebody possibly, and a friend is like, I don't know about that. They might say to you, are you sure you want to take them back? Are you sure that this guy is a good match for you? Are you sure that she has your best interest at heart? There can be like a sense of... people not agreeing with who you're dating, or like who you're dating not really being into your friends, and somebody's kind of saying to like, really think about this. There can be conversations that are had about the difference between being friends and being in a relationship, and it might be hard for you to be friends with somebody that you were in a relationship with because there's history there, and you're like, I don't know if we can be friends, this is kind of complicated. The next day on the 19th, then you're going to see the Sun in Cancer come into an opposition with Pluto, and that is going to be like, yeah, you know what, we can't have both, right? It might be like the time where you're like, no, we're really breaking up for real this time, or this really can't go any further. You could make the decision that it's time to cut or clear out an old goal that just doesn't align with your schedule or doesn't align with your heart. And it can be a time where you realize that certain friendships may not necessarily be the best influence on you, and it's time to kind of kick it to the curb, You may not have the same philosophy as another person as well, with the Sun in opposition to Pluto in regards to your life purpose and where you're going. On the 19th, we're going to see then that Mercury is going to move into Leo in your 6th house, which is wonderful. Mercury likes to be there. It's a great time to clean up your emotions because it rules your 4th, clean up your old relationships, organize, purge, and really just kind of get everything in order, Mercury in Leo in the 6th is making time for art, making time for dating, making time for fun, for creativity. This is going to be a big theme really for you for like the next month, as you see lots of planets come into your 6th house and oppose Saturn. You're going to start realizing how can I make time to do things on my own, have fun on my own? I don't want to feel like I'm relying on other people to want to join me. I don't want to feel like, I have to call friends to do things because you might be feeling kind of isolated. Saturn's still in your 12th house. So there is a sense of feeling separate from others. And I think you're realizing that fun can start with you. You don't have to be waiting for other people to join in on the fun. You can go and do it with or without people. Then on the 28th, we are going to see that Jupiter goes retrograde, and this is going to be in the sign of Aries. Now, Jupiter is your traditional chart lord. Jupiter also is the ruler of Sag. So there is a sense of like really kicking back and being like, how have I done? I've made more money. I've been more resourceful. Reflecting on the last couple of months and like what new things you've initiated or started that's brought in more income. There can be a sense of reevaluating your resources and your spending power and redirecting yourself when it comes to some of your professional stuff because it's the Lord of the 10th. It's positive. Even though it's your chart ruler, it just means that you're going to like re-strategize. And even when it goes retrograde in the fall at the end of October, it's going to go back into your first house, which basically means that it's going to put an emphasis on your appearance, your body, your philosophy, what you believe in, what you're praying for. So you're going to get an opportunity like the end of October through December to rework and retweak your values and what your vision for the future is. And then it'll come back in the new year and you'll get to start again. So you're going to have, you know, Jupiter in some positive aspects regardless. I think what's really cool is that it's also helping you like restructure how you want to make money and what you're doing for a living and like where your values lie and your natural talents and how you can be applying more of your talents to your work so you can be seeing more career growth. So yes, it's your chart ruler going retrograde. However, it's just going to be more so internal, okay? And last but not least, on the 30th of the month, we are going to see Mars and Uranus and the North Node all be aligning in your natal third house. Now, Uranus rules your 12th house of what's hidden. This can be hidden issues with friendships, hidden things behind the scenes, sleep, mental stuff. And it's aligning with Mars, which is about money, resources, in your third. So you can be stressed out and anxious about a move. You could be stressed out and anxious about an issue with the vehicle, not knowing if you should pay something off or if you should buy something new. There could be electrical issues with the car. Be careful if you take any prescriptions or anything. Be careful if you're tired and you're behind the wheel. Hear me out on this because it's your 12th house lord with Mars in the third. There could be a very costly accident if you are not careful. There can also be a sense of like spilling water on things, dropping things in water. There can be electrical issues, phones that short circuit, and all of a sudden you're like, ugh. You could get really agitated because of a friend that's not communicating well with you and they're not getting back to you, and you might feel the need to kind of push it and be like, where are you? Why aren't you communicating with me? Just be careful. You don't want to make any sudden moves either. I think, impulse buying a car or a laptop or a computer, especially because I'm thinking about that conjunction happening. And then later on in August, you're going to see like Mars and the North Node that is going to start coming into a square with Saturn. Now you can get really short-tempered and aggressive with communicating with someone, and to the point where somebody like doesn't want to communicate, they don't want to respond, and then you're not going to respond out of them at all. So try not to push conversations too intensely, too heavily. That's one thing I would say. If you've got siblings that are having mental, emotional issues or psychological issues, keeping an eye on them, making sure they're okay, checking in, phone calls, stuff like that, because I could also see that you're stressed out about something in regards to a sibling that's going on and you're worried about their mental state and that they may need some kind of assistance or they may need some kind of like an intervention. That could be another thing that can go on there. Studying esoteric stuff, astrology, tarot, working with tarot. I think North Node Mars Uranus can mean that you're investing in an online program, really wanting to learn more about any of these topics or even meditation, and that might be something that you end up starting. Very interesting. So let's see what the cards say for you for the month ahead, Pisces. 8 of Swords. Mental stress, anxiety, feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, not knowing how to get out of a situation. I had this feeling with the square between Saturn and all these planets in your third that you can just have like a freak out where you can finally just word vomit all over the place and be like, I don't know what to do. So just watch for that. You want to be really mindful that this is going to be a month that's going to promote a lot of stress and tension and anxiety for everyone. And if you're feeling like you're absorbing that and you're picking that up off of other people, then just be extremely mindful that you might need your space and that some people might push you over the edge. The Eight of Swords is a card about feeling stuck, but it's like mentally being limited, which makes sense from the 12th to the 3rd, where you can be feeling like with Saturn in your 12th house, like I can't see people, I can't deal with the isolation, people aren't getting back to me, and you get really forceful with your conversations, or you can be like, if you don't pick up the phone, I'm coming over there type of thing. On the flip side, I would say that this is purely just like a mental thing that has you stuck. It's not like a situation you can't get out of, and it's really important for you to be thinking and keeping and maintaining a positive mindset, because that's what's actually going to get you out of this situation of feeling stuck. So just take your time, take it easy, and let me know how it goes. Hopefully this is a good month for everyone. Guys, I know it's crazy. Everybody's going to really be feeling this North Node Uranus crunch. And even though the energy is peak from the end of July all the way through the first week of August, the energy will continue to manifest throughout the entire month of August. And it's like a huge plot twist that is showing everybody where there is a dramatic change and an unexpected realization or revelation that's going to be happening, that's going to change all of our lives. So hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's all in opposition to my sun, so I'm expecting it to be a wild month. Might create some content a little early just so I can lay low at the end of August. Let me know, leave me comments. Where are some of these transits taking place in your life? What are you excited for? Is it your birthday? Are you having any of these oppositions or squares? Do you have placements from 17 to 19 degrees of the fixed signs? Are you a Taurus? How are you feeling? Let me know. I want to hear all of it, especially because a lot of people will sometimes circle back and then they'll be like, wow, this is how the month went. Now, if you want more information, like I said, about this North Node Uranus conjunction, I've got a couple videos that I've put out. They're about as in-depth as I can do without going on like a total bender and making a several-hour video. Join me for my webinar. Links are going to be down below, so if you would like to join, I'm offering $10 off my webinar ticket price if you buy a ticket prior to the day of. So anytime up until July 10th, they're going to be $10 off. You'll get a replay link, so you can replay that if you can't listen to all of it and you want to come back. You're going to get PDFs from me from all the most important dates, so you can just mark them on your calendar, and I'm going to talk about how this is going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. So it's going to be a really fun webinar event. I'm looking forward to it. And I feel like it's going to be a great way to get everybody prepared for the stuff that's coming in the world. Enjoy the month of July. I will see all of you guys very soon. Take care.